Let's get sweaty.
Hello and welcome to the Shenmue Dojo Show Season 4, Episode 8. I am James Brown, of course, and I'm joined, as always, by Mr. Rallycry himself, Matthew Oliver. How's it going, man?
Good, man. How's it going?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Believe it or not, this is going to be the season finale of the Shenmue Dojo Show for this particular year, apart from, obviously, the Christmas show that we'll be doing for Radio Sega's Winterfest next month. But yeah, Matt, it's been a year already, hasn't it?
Gone, hasn't it? Like, we're recording this in November and you're like, where's the year gone? Like, what's happened? You know, it's been mental.
Honestly, I know we say this every year, but then I feel like we only just said this like last episode about last year, and it's crazy. We've got Christmas approaching, back on the mince pies.
Oh yes, I do like a good mince pie, I will say that.
Yeah, we've been restocking recently. In fact, I saw them, I believe, at the end of September in one shop.
Oh God, come on, that's too
Crack
early.
them out dead early, don't they? They do. They seriously do, man. I think you've got to get past Halloween and that sort of stuff first.
Yeah,
At least.
yeah.
But yeah, it's been very busy, man. Been doing, obviously, all this work with Shenmue World that's sort of coming to its conclusion now, thankfully. Just waiting on the magazine. That's like the last item we're waiting for. And obviously, by the time you're listening to this podcast, this should be in hand. Probably shared that on the Kickstarter, like images of the magazine, the nice spot UV that hopefully comes out not pink this time around. It comes out
Yeah, true.
how we hope it will. And yeah, hopefully that all runs smoothly and then start packaging and subsequently shipping these off the very tail end of this month. That's probably where we're looking at now. I mean, it's the 15th of November. I'm expecting them like towards the end of next week, but then I'm going to need at least a week to sort of package stuff and whatnot. So yeah, early December, they should be arriving on your doorsteps, or well, hopefully through your door if you've got a big enough letterbox. But yeah, Matt, exciting times ahead. I don't know, what else can we talk about? We haven't really spoken much at the start of a show for a while. I mean, obviously last episode we were doing the Shenmue 2 music special, but what have you been up to, Matt? Have you been playing anything recently?
I'm trying to think what I've played. I finished Resident Evil 4, the remake, actually. I finished that. God,
Nice.
Must be about 3 weeks ago. I really enjoyed it, actually. I played it in the when it came out originally, and I don't know. I probably hold it in a better regard now, having played the remake. I really enjoyed it. I thought some little bits that are a bit frustrating in it, but yeah, good game overall. Quite looking forward to playing Resident Evil 2. Actually, I've downloaded it onto my PC. I haven't got around to playing it yet, but that's definitely on the list of things to sit down and play before I get to the new year. I think I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, and Sonic as well. Sonic Shadow Generations, played that all the way through.
Nice.
Definitely. So you can see that Shadow part of it certainly borrows from Frontiers, but I think they're nearly there in terms of a formula that I think is going to work for Sonic games going forward. Just in general, I really enjoyed it. I thought the storytelling was good, the platforming was good. They'd sorted out the performance issues from Gamescom when I saw it on the ground there. I was quite impressed with it, and if they're sort of building on iterations from Frontiers, changing it up a little bit, the engine, to improve it for obviously Shadow, and then they're going to improve it again, I think the next Sonic game could be a good one. What have you been up to? What have you been playing anyway?
Yeah, some good points there, Matt. Me, I've been playing. I started Metaphor.
Oh yeah.
Quite enjoyed what I played of it. Maybe like the first 6 or 7 hours of that. Really quite enjoying. It's obviously I kind of did enjoy Persona 5. I'm not really a turn-based guy, as you know, Matt. As yourself, share that sort of sentiment. But it's better than your typical turn-based. It's there's a little bit more substance going on there, and obviously there's more exploring to do in between the fights, and they're not constantly throwing fights at you non-stop. There's like a lot of story, and the story is actually incredible so far. I love the sort of the art style and the the menu system's all dead sleek and stylized, and the characters are quite good, and there's like little random NPCs with quests, and they've got stories to tell, and there's some nice shops and different things going on in the environment. The big city that we've arrived at is really cool, and there's also like a time-based system where at least initially when you first start, the storyline is like leading to this major event, and I assume there's probably going to be more major events from this point onwards, but it's kind of like, it feels almost episodic in a sense that this is happening, and then the next day you're like 5 days away from this big event happening, and you sort of have to plan the gameplay a little bit around that. Like, you can't do too many side quests because you progress the days too close to this major event, and you need to be somewhere in particular by this date, if that makes sense. So some interesting gameplay elements there that I've not seen before, but like I say, I've only really started delving into it. I've not got too far to have a complete judgment on it. And then other than that, I have been playing Sonic Shadow Generations myself. Still not finished, actually. I've probably put getting on for 10 hours into that as well. I've done a little bit more exploring around the areas, collecting the challenges, little challenges that you get, the keys. Yeah. Well, I guess those are the boss keys, but like the music notes is what I'm thinking of, where you get them and you track them down and get the artworks. And I guess there is those keys because you open all those little chests that are dotted about as well. Been doing quite a bit of them. But yeah, like you say, the formula they've kind of nailed down now. How they got the sort of the Frontiers 3D gameplay, which I really enjoy. And my highlights are the Act 1 stages in particular.
Yeah, they're good.
I personally prefer the 3D modern boost now, actually. When I play the 2D style, like, I do enjoy it, but for me, like, the showstopper is like the complete 3D world, like where you're just bombing forward, and they've got the platforming sections as well, so there's like multiple choice routes wise. It's not just like just hold a button. I guess the original Sonic Generations was criticized for that, like you're just holding the boost button, or the modern stages. There's a little bit more substance in Shadow Generations, and obviously you've got the combat moves that they've added to Shadow's gameplay. And yeah, that is my bread and butter. That is like what I'm really enjoying. Obviously, I loved the classic Sonic games back in the day, but actually playing some, maybe it's just because the more modern takes on them, like your Mania, your Superstars, even Sonic 4, if you want it, which I know is objectively not the best 2D things, but I don't have as much fun personally in those types of games as I do like the full-fledged 3D modern games, and that's probably just me, because I know a lot of people do prefer the 2D gameplay, especially like when I hear people talking about like Generations. I think I was listening to the Easy Allies podcast, and Michael Damiani is going on about how he prefers the 2D style in the Generations. It's like 3D, but it's side-scrolling more into it, if you know what I mean, like the and he was saying like he wished the whole game was like that. But I'm completely the opposite. I wish the whole game was full 3D, because the 2D ones are the ones that I kind of don't want to do. I don't know how you feel about them, Matt. Like I can get through them, but I always return back to the Act 1 parts rather than the Act 2 stages, if you know what I mean.
As somebody who I went away from Sonic sort of after Sonic Heroes for a while. I've played like 06 and things like that, but never really clicked, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The Generations for me, when I played that originally back on the PS3, it was like the first sort of Sonic game where I got into the 3D type levels, the Act 1, so they probably shade it for me over the 2D, but I think the 2D stuff's quite solidly built. I'm gonna go probably get stoned at dawn at this by saying it, but I actually enjoyed Sonic 4. I had quite a good time with it. I know people didn't and said it felt, controls felt floaty and things like that. And I can understand that, but at a personal level, I had quite a great time with it. If people didn't like it, great, move on. It didn't really bother me.
I think I agree with you. I enjoyed Sonic 4 as well. I think at the time it was probably because it wasn't on the same levels as like 1, 2, 3 that people had played to death at that point, and 4 was a bit. It just didn't. It felt like it was missing that sort of last coat of paint or whatever it needed just to get it into the same sort of, well, not even the same sort of level, but just in the realms of like getting close to that sort of standard. It was just a bit like haphazardly made, but still enjoyable.
Yeah, I think an extra coat of paint on it just to polish it, get the mechanics right. I think then it could have been better received than it was. But
and that's how I feel about 06, man. I think that just needed an extra coat of paint for that to be a great game, because it's got all the elements that I wanted in the Sonic game at the time. It's got the adventure hub world, it's got the adventure style stages, there's slight variation of gameplay because you can play as like Shadow, you can play as Silver, there's little bits where you can play as Tails and Knuckles as well, so you got like the multi sort of character world that they've done there. The story was okay, obviously there's all that memey stuff with the kissing the girl thing, but I quite enjoyed the story as well, like the Iblis Trig and all that sort of shit that was going on. Yeah.
And the rumours are they're going to remake it, is what's going around.
What I was
at the
thinking,
moment.
yeah. I was going to segue into that. Do you see the news on that, Mac? Because I think that, to me, is probably more exciting than even a Sonic Adventure remake, because to me, Sonic Adventure 1 is the perfect Sonic game to me. I mean, it's obviously a game of its time, just caught me sort of like Shenmue, you know, these modern day gamers go back to the old games like your Shenmue, your Sonic Adventure, and they probably do feel clunky in 2024 to a new gamer. But to me, those are the games that just feel perfect to me, like 10 out of 10 games. And the original Sonic Adventure, I don't think in that sense needs remaking as badly as 06 did, just because 06 has always had this negative connotations.
Yeah, exactly. There's always been that negative hate around it. Now, I can't talk because I've played it once. It was okay. I didn't hate it by any stretch of the imagination, but I wouldn't have said I loved it either. But I do take your point. I do think it's one of those that actually, if they got it right and got the remake right, polished it out, because the Frontiers engine, which I suspect they would do it in, would work quite well. That would take out a lot of the issues that they've had in terms of the gameplay, the loading. Whether they change the story up or anything, I don't know. But also, people are going to have to probably accept that Sonic 06 is, I'd say, likely to be the next follow-on, unless they go to Heroes after the Sonic 3 movie, because that's Sonic movie 3 is going to cover pretty much what's going to be Sonic Adventure 2. So I guess they could, if they wanted to, I know I'm going off on a tangent because it's in my head, that they could go to Sonic Adventure 1 potentially, but like have, or some elements of it, but have Shadow around it, because obviously you've got characters there like Amy who hasn't been seen yet, although there's rumours she's in this film, and there's other characters obviously haven't popped up. It's all confirmed at the end of Sonic the Movie 3. There's going to be a reveal of another character, so it could go like any way. Like if they unveiled Silver, you know it's going towards 06 and that story and everything else.
Tie into the remake as well, which makes sense, doesn't it?
So it would make sense with that rumor kicking around that Silver's the character at the end of Sonic Movie 3, which looks flipping brilliant already from the trailers. I can't wait to watch that. And yeah, I could see that then happening.
I feel like Silver, as you know, in like the tease at the end of the film, Silver's probably got more of a exciting pull about it than say if it was like an Amy reveal. That didn't really, I can't see that adding too much to the I need to watch Sonic 4, if you know what I mean. Like whereas like the Silver aspect is like probably a lot of people that are fans of Sonic don't even know who Silver is in a sense, because he's only really been in that one game. He probably has popped up here and there in other games, but Silver's basically 06, right? And 06 is the worst Sonic game of all time in people's minds. So yeah, it'd be interesting if Silver gets his rejuvenation that I guess he deserves. I don't know.
Which I could see it. I could see it. That, and bearing in mind when you think of a film production schedule, if this thing's already in development as a game, and then because they could probably tie it into a film release and like they've done with Shadow Generations, they probably make a shed load of money off of it. But this is all part of Sega's sort of multimedia strategy with going across like multiple mediums now, like TV, anime, film, music. They're going everywhere, Sega, which then begs the question to put it to Shenmue a little bit here is obviously you've had the Like a Dragon TV series. I haven't watched it, so I can't pass a judgment on it, but critically it's been pretty slammed. It's not got particularly good reviews. It's about a 6 out of 10, which you're getting into territory where most people aren't going to like it. I mean, I'm not going to get outraged over a 6, but people get outraged over a 7 these days, so but anyway, I'll leave that there. So then you look at like the Shenmue anime, which I would argue in modern times is one of the sort of the first proper forays for Sega IP into other medium outside of the Sonic films. And it was pretty successful, did quite well and reviewed really well. So surely if they're finding things like Golden Axe and other genres are getting TV shows or series rather, I'd argue are probably more obscure. Surely they can find a way to get Shenmue Season 2 off the ground some way, somehow, and push that story forward. Now, obviously, we don't know whether there's a blockage of that with the deals around Adult Swim and Crunchyroll. We also don't know whether actually Sega have gone out of respect to Yu Suzuki himself and said, look, we want to do it, what do you think? And he said, well, just hold fire, because there could be a Shenmue 4 deal on the table for all we know, and in which case he doesn't want the anime to go over the game. Who knows? But it's all me being hypothetical. But take that out of it, surely with all these other franchises getting TV shows and and movies and everything else, surely they could get the anime finished.
You'd hope so, right?
You think so, but who knows?
Continuation of it, but I mean, Sega, like you say, they've got a lot of fingers in pies, aren't they, everywhere with all these movies that keep getting announced, and I don't know where they are, but a live action Shenmue movie would be pretty sick to get announced.
Be insane, that wouldn't it? I tell you now, if they didn't invite us to the London premiere of that, I would be getting a bit upset.
Yeah, I'd definitely sneak into that somehow.
I don't think. Wow, I'd hope we wouldn't need to sneak in. Not to sound like a whole "do you not know who I am" sort of thing, but it would feel a bit cheap if they didn't turn around to us and be like, you oldest Shenmue wet fan site on the internet. Do you fancy a day out?
You stay at home.
You stay at home, you bastards. You pissed us off for years. You're going to pay for all that harassment on Twitter now.
Well, we're going to get into some of that harassment in a minute in the news section, Matt. So today, I probably should have mentioned what the show is about, actually, at the top of the show, if you've stuck with us through that little game chat. Basically, today's show is going to be, we're going to sort of expand on that little Shenmue premiere merchandise video we did a few weeks back now. It was also a bonus show released on your podcast platforms and YouTube or whatever, but if you haven't seen that, go back and watch that, because it's sort of the prologue to what we're going to be getting into today. But before we jump into what I'm going to try and make as like a pretty speedy Shenmue news section to get everyone up to speed, because it's been quite a while since we did the news section. Before that, I want to play a piece of music from talented Shenmue music coverer, I guess, Annadelle, who recently shared some of her music that she's been creating in the Shenmue Dojo Discord. And yeah, this piece is, I think it might be the first track in the playlist that she created. It's the one for the Shenmue main theme. Welcome back. That was a cover of Shenmue's main theme by Annadelle, dedicated Shenmue Dojo Twitch watcher and supporter, I suppose. She pops up quite a lot in the Twitch channels. Great music there. Breaking news, guys. In true Shenmue fashion, as soon as we record a show, some Shenmue news comes out. So we're tagging this on at the start of the news section, but this is sort of future Jim and Matt here talking about the latest news regarding the Shenmue 3 publisher sort of takeover by NN Games, which is extremely exciting for one of many different reasons that we're going to get into quickly. So Matt announced, as time of recording last night, so there's like two kind of different press release things going on here that we're going to talk about first. So the first one sort of dropped randomly on the 19th of November without really any of us knowing. We did a stream that night, obviously, to celebrate the 5th anniversary of Shenmue 3, and then it was only until the 20th of November that someone actually noticed this news was posted, which is crazy, really, that we could have known the night before. But essentially what it seems to me to be is that there's a 5-year exclusivity with potentially Sony, Deep Silver, etc., that may have now ended, which has allowed a company like NN Games, who obviously has worked with Wisenet on Air Twister, to take on the reins of Shenmue 3. Now, that might sound strange, like why would a company go after an old game to own as like the publisher, the future publisher, especially when said game has been perhaps like 89p on Steam at one point. But there's a few little interesting things that NN have come out with that makes this extremely exciting. So before I ask you a little bit about this, Matt, I'm just going to read out the press release that was released on the 19th of November.
Beautiful.
Okay, so November the 19th, NN and Wisenet announces that the publishing for Shenmue 3 will officially transfer to NN Games as of today. Following the previous collaboration on Air Twister, this will deepen the relationship between NN Games and Wisenet. Known for their commitment to celebrating beloved titles, NN Games is excited to shepherd Shenmue 3 into its next phase. This collaboration marks the beginning of a new chapter for Shenmue 3, with NN Games working closely alongside Wisenet to honour the series' legacy while ensuring its accessibility to even more fans around the world. So, Matt, do you want to take some of the key elements in that initial press release that may make us and a lot of the Shenmue community out there rather excited?
Wow. I mean, to go back, I think you summarised it beautifully, actually, in terms of the whole exclusivity thing ending. I think that's pretty much as read, and that's where it's gone on social media and everything. But the key term here is shepherd Shenmue 3 into the next phase and ensuring accessibility to even more fans around the world. That, for me, says they're going to go cross-platform. So Xbox, I mean, everybody's talking about it anyway. Whether then it goes on Switch or the Switch successor, I don't know. But there's been this clamour for Xbox for quite a while now. And then it begs the question, like, where does this end? Like, is it just straight ports and away you go? Because we know they obviously have a relationship with Wisenet, a good relationship with Wisenet as well. But could this be a marker for more Shenmue content to come? But then this set like people off on a haywire, didn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But then the next press release, which you're about to come on to, I think really puts the cat amongst the pigeons, in my opinion.
It does, mate. So this was released via Jimatsu, which had sort of the exclusivity on this press release, I guess, in a sense. So this press release reads as following. So, following the previous collaboration on Air Twister, this will deepen the relationship with the legacy creator Yu Suzuki and his team. Known for our commitment to celebrating beloved titles and bringing them to new platforms, NN Games is excited to shepherd Shenmue 3 into its next phase. This exciting transfer coincides with two momentous milestones, so the 25th anniversary of the Shenmue series and the 5th anniversary of Shenmue 3. Since its debut, Shenmue has captivated fans worldwide with its groundbreaking storytelling, immersive open-world gameplay, and its legacy as a pioneer in video game history. Shenmue 3 continues this tradition, keeping the spirit of the saga alive for a new generation of players. We at NN Games are honoured to carry the Shenmue torch forward during such a significant moment in the series' history. As we reflect on 2 decades of innovation and passion, we remain dedicated to preserving and sharing the journey of Ryo Hazuki with both longtime fans and newcomers. With this transfer, the story of Shenmue is far from over. We have exciting plans to celebrate these anniversaries, ensuring that this beloved series continues to thrive and inspire. Keep an eye out for upcoming announcements as we unveil our vision for the next phase of Shenmue's legacy. So that's quite a statement and a half, right, Matt? Because not only are we, like you say, potentially getting ports of Shenmue 3, but the way that they worded this press release, it sort of sounds like they want to be in for the long haul as well. It's not just a flash in the pan, let's re-release Shenmue 3 on a couple of different platforms and be done with it. It seems like they kind of want to be dedicated to maintaining Shenmue's moving forward. So whether that means like a Shenmue 4, or like you've just said, Matt, maybe attempting to add more content to Shenmue 3 even, which I don't know if that's exciting to people out there if Shenmue 3 had more content, but it depends what the content is. If it's like just maybe some fixes, maybe some quality of life improvements, such as removing the stamina sister that I know a lot of people disliked, those sort of things, whether that's enough to warrant the way that this is worded, if you know what I mean. To me, this was worded like NN Games want to maybe see how this goes, test the water, with a potential mindset to continue on towards more Shenmue, which is obviously exciting.
I mean, this press release has caused a real buzz. Like it's gone everywhere. It's all over the mainstream media at the moment as well. It is exciting. It is incredibly exciting. Now, for many reasons. I think the first bit I get from this, and we know this from talking to the In Game social media person, who is a big Shenmue fan themselves. There's clearly people at In Games who love Shenmue, understand Shenmue, and want to do well for Shenmue. So that whole statement just breathes all of that, which, given a very checkered last few years with rumours, heavy rumours, things falling away for all we know, I don't know, this feels like they've got Shenmue at the heart of what they want to do. It doesn't feel like they're trying to use it for their own gain or anything like that. This is Shenmue. We love Wisenet, Yu Suzuki, and we want to do the best we can by it, whatever that may be. The fact they announce the anniversaries, and go, the 25th anniversary, the 5th anniversary of Shenmue 3. We were talking on stream just the other night, is it just going to be us celebrating this thing? But it sounds like, in this press statement at least, when they say that they've got upcoming announcements, they plan to celebrate these anniversaries. So it says to me on December 29th, there's going to be something going down from In Games. To a celebration point alone, that in itself shows a vast difference in the language to what's been used around Shenmue. They clearly respect this franchise. They clearly want it to do well. Whereas I think some other companies out there maybe wouldn't have recognised this so much and would have gone, Shenmue, whatever. It feels different here. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Now, you're talking about Shenmue 3 and extra content. I think you're right. It would go on to the level of the content if they went down that road, what that might come to. I don't know. If it's just some quick fixes and they put it on a different platform, you'll get some sales and it's probably relatively cheap to do. But what if they have bigger plans for it and go, do you know what? Baisha, for example, or you add in some story content, or you know where I'm going with it. The possibilities are endless, and what I think they've got to do is balance what they'd like to do with what's realistic in terms of whatever budgetary constraints they may have or not. We don't know. And then the big question is Shenmue 4. Now, this leans heavily into people jumping to the conclusion that Shenmue 4 is a dead-on nailed, it's happening thing. And I would always urge caution around something like that, because until I see that announcement for myself publicly, I will always have a modicum of doubt in my head. But it clearly says to me here that they want to push Shenmue forward. They want to do what they can to continue this wonderful series that we all love. And I don't know, it feels different here. It feels different. It feels like we've got somebody or a company on board who are going to treat Shenmue the way that I think it deserves to be treated. I know it's a niche franchise. I know it's difficult to market because it's 3 to 4 games in at this point. But I think actually within Indie's track record of reviving older games and going into that sort of very niche market where they've carved quite a nice, little nook in the market for themselves here. I think this is a real feather in the cap for them. I think it's a brilliant boost for the Shenmue community. The place is buzzing beyond belief here. Let's get not beat around the bush. It's gone mad since this has happened in that 24-hour period. I was glad I was off work for it. Because I tell you what, had I not been, I'd have probably got sacked anyway. But this is exciting. This is palpable. It feels different. Feet on the ground a little bit. I always urge caution because we've been here before. And I'm not going to name names, but I'm sure all of you can work out who I mean by that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, this statement, I just think we are potentially on a really good path now. And it really shows that the work the community has put in to the tweetathons, to shouting, to getting that Shenmue name out there so it is not forgotten, may just start to be paying off a little bit. But that's not an excuse now to stop. We must keep going and push harder.
I definitely agree with that, Matt. I think we're onto a winner here with it in games, and obviously before when they did the deal with Air Twister, it was up in the air there whether their company's got enough potential to maybe then work on a Shenmue title with Yu Suzuki in the team. Obviously, could have your doubts because Inin aren't on the scale of Sega or Sony, for example, but I think what you have got with Inin Games is a dedicated bunch of people, and like you say, very passionate about Shenmue, and that's what we've kind of got like an abundance of within the Shenmue community. We've got these very passionate Shenmue fans who conveniently now, because it's such an old franchise at this point, 25 years later, a lot of the people that grew up with Shenmue and loved it back in the day are now in positions where they can actually affect Shenmue's history and legacy because, they're in the industry. They're able to do what they love about the series and help it continue, like Josh at Limited Run Games, for example, Ryan Payton, who now is at Camouflage. These people with, I don't want to say like people of power, but these people that are in positions to be able to help Shenmue now, which is really great because this is exactly what we need. And Inin Games, I've got no doubt, are really behind making Shenmue a success moving forward. I still think we should target Sega for the time being.
Absolutely.
And sort of make the point that we still want a Shenmue 4, because at the time being, this is a Shenmue 3 sole announcement. So Shenmue 4 is still up in the air, despite some of the wording here sort of makes you want to think that there's something going on behind the scenes between Inin and Yu Suzuki with a potential future Shenmue title. But at the moment, I think we've got to focus on supporting Inin Games with the Shenmue 3 announcement, the ports. Make sure you buy a couple of copies of every port that's released. Hopefully there's a collector's edition on Strictly Limited, because they do amazing releases of titles as well. Who, they're all sort of within this United Games sort of company, as far as I'm aware. So definitely support that as much as you can. And you never know, like Matt says, we might get some more new content for Shenmue 3 as well on top of this. Potentially like a director's cut version of the game, for example. Some of the wording kind of leans into that there could be something a little bit more, the next phase of Shenmue 3. So to me, that sounds like it could be more than just a port, but we'll obviously at this point in time, it remains to be seen what this is going to do for the Shenmue franchise. But extremely positive news. I feel like we're in good hands again finally, because obviously the Deep Silver, Cop Media sort of stuff soured the apples a little bit. I know Cedric was a little bit down on that company coming in and sort of taking over, and I don't know if it was up to them that sort of rushed out the release of Shenmue 3, but now we actually have a moment where we could potentially see Shenmue in a funny roundabout way get properly finished as like originally intended from the Kickstarter days, with, like Matt said, Baisha is the pie in the sky dream for what this could actually be turning into. I don't want to get anyone's hopes up with that, but just something to think about and get excited about. And I think we'll definitely discuss this in more detail on another show. But for now, guys, we just wanted to get those headline news out to you because this is hot off the press, and I don't think we could have released a show without at least dropping this into it because this is big news. And if you listen to the podcast, just know that the podcast was already done and dusted, ready to be released, and we had to sort of stop going to press and get this out there. So yeah, hopefully you appreciate the sort of, I don't know, chopped up nature of how this might sound. But regardless, thanks Matt for going through that with me. We're going to continue with the news. At this point is now old news, but still you might not have been keeping up with the Shenmue news recently, so we've got some more good Shenmue community related headlines to go through following this piece. So yeah, cheers
guys.
I see.
So Matt, let's delve into the news section as fast as we can get through this, just so we're not dilly-dallying on a lot of these news topics that people have probably already heard of by now, but for the people out there that might just wait for a podcast to get caught up with Shenmue news, let's get into it. So first things first, guys, it is, and this is the day after the day before, if that makes sense, it was the dojo's 24th anniversary on the 14th of November. So yeah, we kind of celebrated a little bit. We've got a brand new logo that Jibby created for us, which looks really nice. You may have seen our social media platforms updated with this new logo. And yeah, got quite a good reception actually on Twitter from a lot of people saying some nice things about the dojo and what it means to them, which I wasn't expecting, but very grateful for everyone for all of the support and some lovely messages on Twitter actually that you can look out. We also did an insane giveaway, and we've done a few of these actually. I don't know if we did it last year, maybe not even the time before, but I remember doing like one for when we did the 20th anniversary mark. We did like 20 prizes, right? I'm pretty sure we did one after like 21 prizes, just as a bit of a joke, like to better it. But this time around, we've actually decided to do another one. It's the 24 prize giveaway. It will have ended by the time you listen to this. I'm just saying this is something that we did. 24 years, 24 prizes. Insane giveaway. And we've also, I'm still waiting for them to arrive, but again, by the time you listen to this, hopefully they have arrived, and this is already old news, but we've taken Jibby's amazing logo, very original design, and turned it into a limited edition pin of 100. So there's going to be 100, I guess, worldwide, because it's a unique item. And yeah, more details on that limited edition pin if you want to pick one up to follow shortly.
Very good.
So Matt, you can take over a little bit now. Mentioned the rally cry a little bit just before the Annadelle's cover, but yeah, what's been going on with all these rally cries and tweetathons that we've been partaking in?
You know, it's been mental, and I month on month they've got bigger and bigger and bigger. Now I know since the American elections happened, there's been people leaving Twitter and X and everything else, and I can sort of understand why, but it's still at the moment at least the primary focus for the tweetathons and everything, just for the sheer visibility of what we're doing. But every month we're out on the 4th of every month tweeting hashtag Let's Get Shenmue 4, and at 8 o'clock UK time, 9 PM in Europe, 3 PM Eastern, midday Pacific, and 4 AM in the morning in Japan, we tweet a message together, basically to get hashtag Let's Get Shenmue 4 trending. It's been successful for 7 months in a row now, with the last month being the biggest yet, where actually we trended at least twice across the day, and looking at it, I suggest we probably have trended more, and we were touching a good total of about 9,000 posts by the end of it. The aim for December, the big one, the one that I keep teasing, keep winding people up over, what this is, you will be able to see it in real life, some of you at least, that we want to get trending again, obviously, hopefully go viral. I mean, obviously you can never predict these things, but it would be amazing. And I'd love in one trend to get 10,000 posts to really put that line in the sand that we are here. We've been making more and more and more noise, and we're not going to go away. And actually, I think as a word to the community as well, everybody comes out every month behind this. They don't have to, but they do, because of what they believe in this, and they believe in the strength of the community that is there. The community hasn't felt this united for a long time, actually, and I think that's testament to everybody who has got behind this thing. Not just Shenmue Dojo, but the other groups out there, your Phantom Riverstones, your Shenmue Forevers, the people like that who've been around as well, have all gotten behind it and all gotten behind this whole idea of us uniting at one time to get this thing going. And then the whole community's bought into it. And every month I'm genuinely flattered and touched by the amount of people that watched me every month repeat the same thing. Get out there, tweet, blah blah blah. Here's the demo. I know some of you will be fed up of it, but more and more of you are engaging with it. So I can only say thank you, because my anxiety around when we started this was this could fall flat on its ass and then what? But actually, it's done the complete opposite. So thank you everybody so much, because it just means a lot. Not just on a personal level, but to people wider. They see this happening. People in the games industry are talking about this, and that's what we want. And if that continues, somebody somewhere is going to take a punt on this, I'm convinced.
Yeah, well, it's getting bigger and bigger, so eventually someone's going to be like, Jesus Christ, what, these Shenmue fans are relentless, the numbers are getting bigger and bigger, why would they not take a punt at that point? Because there's an audience, clearly. and I just want to extend my gratitude to everyone as well, and also the incredible Shenmue Dojo staff members that help support us as well. You've got Clunky Mage, Terry, these a wealth of staff members that sort of support me and Matt throughout this journey, throughout social media side of things as well, that take up a lot of time. Like, people probably don't realise, but creating daily posts and all that sort of stuff to keep the Shenmue name out there and keep things busy in terms of like keeping Shenmue's name in the limelight. We've got a lot of support behind us, Matt. So outside of the staff, the community as well, everyone's all on board, which is, it's really lovely to see, because like you say, it could have been embarrassing. 5 people could have showed up and tweeted the hashtag, and it doesn't really move anything. But the fact that we've got thousands and thousands and thousands of people. What did you say the last one was, Matt? Like over 5,000, 6,000?
We were coming up to 9,000 total posts last month.
Bloody mental. So that just proves the point there. But anyway, let's move into the next topic. So Eric Calso, who is he, Matt?
So Eric Calso, if you don't know who he is, you have been living under a rock for the past 25 years. But he is the voice of Guizang, Fukusan, and our best friend Ren. And he has got a nice new project underway where he is selling individualized cards of the characters that he's been in many video games. He's talking like Jackie Bryant, obviously Fukusan, Ren, Guizan, Captain Falcon, and others as well. Currently, as of recording, his second card is out. The first one was Jackie. The new one is Guizang, if I'm remembering correctly, from memory. Oh, it's Ren. Oh, bugger, There you go. Why have I got that confused?
I don't know. I don't know. He hasn't announced when he's doing the Guizang one yet, but yeah, the second one is Ren.
Second one's Ren, and then also, and that's $70 at the moment, and you get a little personalized message on it. It's all your shipping, and also he's doing, it's for $90. He's doing a collage of all his characters. Like this is like not unique artwork. This is stuff like your familiar artwork that you've seen on the internet with the photo of him in the middle, and again signed with a personal message. And it's shipped for $90. And I've seen a few people pick them up actually in the community. I saw somebody on the forums pop one up, and it looked quite well packaged and looked well signed and everything. So, I mean, Eric's true to his word. It looks quite nice, actually. It's a good little project. And the reason he did it was because people were selling his signature on eBay for stupid money. So I can get, and it wasn't necessarily even his signature. So I can see why he's gone, do you know what, to hell with this. If people want my signature, at least then it's mine.
Yeah, and the nice thing about this is the extra little touch that it's personalised with a message on. So you can say, can you say if someone happens to be a really big Shenmue fan, say like your husband or wife or something, you want to get them a present, it's like, a personalised message from Eric Calso that says like, or even like a marriage proposal. Get Eric to like write a message on his A4 print or one of these, like a Fukusan or Ren card that says like, Emma, will you marry me? And like, Emma's the biggest Shenmue fan going. I don't know. I'm just throwing these ideas out there. You know what I'm on about. But yeah, it's a really cool project. He's actually shown me a photo of like all 9 of the cards framed. He's actually got on his wall. It looks stunning. The frame that he got looked incredible. So just keep an eye out for the runs of these, because they're only in 100. So if you want to grab one, definitely check out Eric's video, which will be in the description below. You'll get all the details there on how you can go about grabbing one. So, speaking about Shenmue-esque merchandise now, Matt, we're sort of waiting for the drop from Limited Run Games. They teased this a little while ago. Obviously, it's the Dreamcast 25th anniversary. In America, that was like the 9th of September 1999, that 999 thing. And on that date, they released like a Dreamcast line. And then since then, they put a tweet out that they were saying like every single month we're going to be doing a Dreamcast title for a year, I guess, like 12 titles, I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly. The first one happened to be Sonic Adventure, which was the month of October. We're in the month of November now and nothing's dropped yet, so I don't know what's going on there. Someone popped in the Discord chat, I think it was Scotty Mo, that said that they've been focusing on the New York pop-up shop. So all the resources could be there at the moment and they haven't actually gotten around to dropping the next line. Because I did notice on the Sonic Adventure page, it says pre-orders end on December the 8th. So there's potentially a chance that they could be waiting for that line to finish. And that date, I don't know if that date was there from day one or they've added that because maybe they haven't had the time to do a November drop, I'm not sure. But potentially check out like the 9th of December could be the next line. Or again, as things often happen when we do these new shows and then we edit the podcast and then release them a couple of weeks after we're recording this now, news is old and they may already be out and this is like completely like what's the point that this is a topic in the show. Go get the Shenmue merch now, but definitely keep an eye on Limited Run Games and obviously we'll let everyone know as soon as the merch is available because Matt, we've recently attended EGX and this is a little bit of a segue. Whilst at EGX in London, which is like the UK's equivalent of a E3 or a Gamescom or something, it's obviously not that special compared to those. Well, you went Gamescom and you said Gamescom was like 5 times as big or whatever.
Gamescom was insane.
Yeah, but EGX is like a nice little one that we go to every year. There's games there, there's people in the industry there. Obviously, we have a little bit of a Shenmue meetup with friends and whatnot. But we actually stumbled across the Tubbs Ducks merchandise. It's kind of like a pop-up store there, actually, just in the middle of EGX.
Yeah.
And we got speaking to, I think he said he was the co-founder.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, co-founder.
I don't know if it was Tubbs specifically or he felt like Numbskull more so, right? Like he was maybe the co-founder of Numbskull, but obviously he was there with the Tubbs Duck stuff. And yeah, we had a really interesting conversation.
We did, and I will say he was very friendly, very upfront with us. And while the news is a little bit frustrating, there are some glimmers of hope, but I can also understand what's going on here. So everybody will remember the Ryo Hazuki Tubbs Duck. It came out at the same time as the Kazuma Kiryu Tubbs Duck. They were sort of the first experimental lines of the Tubbs things, which now you can get here. They've done hundreds of franchises now. So they produced 3,000 Ryo Hazukis, which have pretty much all sold out now. There's about 10 left, he was saying, in the company. However, at the same time, Kazuma Kiryu sold that amount in a couple of days. And therein lies the issue with Shenmue merchandise, is what he's saying, that it always sells, but it sells a lot slower than other franchises. So when you've got then return of investment to think about and money tied up in stock, they then move away from brands like Shenmue, the more niche stuff, because it doesn't sell as quickly. They also had the same situation with the Ryo Hazuki statue, the 10-inch statue they did from Heartbeats. That he also mentioned to us that they were going to do Ryo and his forklift as part of an extended series of these, and also Ryo like punching QTE title. Like the one with Heartbeats is great. This is just a side point, but I think had they done the forklift, it probably would have got more notoriety and sold faster. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it sold well, and they're happy with how it sold. And it's made a profit. But again, similarly, other franchises outsell it and sell through the stock quicker. One thing he did mention was that Shenmue merchandise tends to be sort of geared, I guess, towards the higher end of the market. So when you think back to the Wayo music box, that was quite an expensive item. And they brought in 50 of them for Sega Shop. And he said he sold them within like a couple of days, which is insane. I know it's only 50, but when they're, 250 quid, that's quite a chunk of money, isn't it? When you consider like how many tubs or whatever you're going to need to sell to make the same amount of money back. So he was saying that he felt that Shenmue collectibles are at that higher end collectible, but he doesn't have the contract for the higher end stuff because they're elsewhere. But what he did say to sort of underscore everything at the end is that if there's a new Shenmue game, that they'd love to do more merchandise. We also asked about the anime, and he sort of laughed a little bit. And so we said, why was there no merchandise for the anime? He sort of gave us a wry smile, which suggested to me they would have done something. But for whatever reason, Sega didn't seem too bothered by it, but I am guessing. But the important line here and the takeaway from this is, and I know people have families and their responsibilities, so spend wisely, people, but we need to send, Shenmue merchandise to sell quick and quicker. So the limited run stuff that James has talked about previously, if that sells like gangbusters, it's not going to outsell Sonic Adventure. Let's be honest. Sonic Adventure is going to smash it out of the park. But say it came second to Sonic Adventure out of all those Dreamcast games that Limited Run are doing merchandise for. People will sit up and pay attention to it. And Josh was saying to me, ironically, after we were talking about this on our stream on the 4th of November, was that he saw there's a franchise that's owned by Atlas called Snowball Kids, and they got a line of merchandise randomly. I don't know why, but it sold quite well. And then he was at a trade show, and Sega had done this big sort of dedicated wall spread dedicated to that franchise afterwards, and we're pushing it quite hard. So if Shenmue sells quickly and sells well, it gives them reason to do more merch and maybe just ask some questions. So we need to be selling through as much of this as we possibly can. That's the key takeaway from all of this.
Yeah, to me it feels like you're saying, Shenmue merchandise sells, but slowly. But you've got some passionate people behind the projects releasing the Shenmue merchandise. So in the case of Limited Run Games, you've got Josh, who's a massive Shenmue fan. I'm assuming someone at Insert Coin Clothing is a massive Shenmue fan, because that was one of the first franchises that they decided to do on their website. When they first started the website, it was like Sonic and Shenmue. And they continue to do Shenmue merchandise with jackets and t-shirts and stuff, so it's nice that we got that support from a company like Insert Coin Clothing. Obviously the Sega shop's done different things as well. We've had the coin, we've had the little pen, we've had the perfume, we've had mug,
we had those t-shirts, hoodie,
t-shirts
hat,
as well. Yeah, so we have had some Shenmue merchandise from the Sega shop, which is nice, and we just want to keep getting more merchandise, because obviously the more that Shenmue is still available for someone to purchase a product of, it means that the franchise is still alive and kicking. It's, you're not going to make a t-shirt for something that isn't going, if you know what I mean. It's not, Shenmue's still an active IP to Sega if they're happy enough to release merchandise for it. So yeah, I think it's cool that these companies are still producing Shenmue merchandise, but then it's also a shame to hear that the speed at which said merchandise sells dictates the likelihood of future Shenmue merchandise. So I think if everyone can get on board whenever any merchandise drops, depends, because obviously, like that guy was saying, he sees the merchandise more on the higher end scale of price wise to Shenmue fans, because we're all diehard collectors and whatnot. We're going to buy whatever happens, aren't we? We're going to buy whatever product, whatever price, unfortunately. But that might not be the same case with every single Shenmue fan. So it's difficult to sort of say just buy everything, because if Limited Run Games release 7 Shenmue skate decks like they have with the Sonic Adventure stuff, and they're priced at $75 each, there isn't many people that are going to buy all 7. So if they're looking at those numbers about how fast they sell, that's sort of skewing in the opposite direction. It's not going to be looking like Shenmue is a profitable business model when the prices are set too high, if you know what I mean. They can't outmarket the Shenmue fans. They've got to sort of find a nice middle ground, I guess, where it's it's reasonably priced, it's a good quality product, but it's also showing that Shenmue fans are happy to pay a certain price for a product. And I guess that there's a profitable business model within that sort of niche, because Shenmue's a niche, but if it's selling merchandise and it's selling how many tub stocks did he say that there was
3,
the original autumn? 3,000. And how many years has that been now? Was that 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah, it was a fair while ago. I think I want to say 2021, something like that. I'd have to check.
So 1,000 ducks a year. Obviously, probably the majority of them sold straight away, and then they've sort of been drip selling them, I guess, ever since. But yeah, it's just something to think about, guys. If you see some Shenmue merchandise, try and pick it up if you can afford it, because every little helps. Speaking of
Indeed.
merchandise, there's a tiny discount on the Rio 1999 t-shirt that's available on Insert Coin Clothing. I don't know if this sale's still on, but at the time of recording, there's a little sale on there that gets, I think it's around £8 off that t-shirt. So if it was something that you have been eyeing up, go grab it while it's cheap. Matt, you could talk a little bit about this next news point now. So this is a really, really cool one that sort of blew me away. Was this when was this released? Was this October the 4th?
This was October the 4th. You messaged me half an hour before stream, I think it was, to say
I was sat on the toilet actually. no
you messaged
joke.
me going, we've got to put this on stream.
Yeah, I sat on the toilet scrolling for the feed, and I came at Twitter feed. I came across this post by Shenmue Park. It's Brian Park. He does loads of cool Shenmue related posts. You've probably seen his other account that's Shenmue 2 differences between the Dreamcast version and the Xbox version. He posts the differences between those two, the same game but the differences between them. And then he started this new one that's Shenmue Park, where it's going outside of the Shenmue 2 stuff. He does Shenmue 1 stuff, Shenmue 3 stuff, and yeah, he's actually found a cutscene within, I guess, the Game Jam beta build of Shenmue 2, but he also found it in another build of Shenmue 2 that it's described in his video, but we'll focus on the Game Jam build because there's actually voice acting. There's cool sort of motion capture animation of Ryo kicking a knife into a tree. It's insane, actually, isn't it?
It's mental. And this is where I think, I don't know, we're biased, but this is where Shenmue never fails to amaze that 20 odd years on, people are still finding things, new cutscenes, new hidden things that we've missed and not seen, not ever seen before. And I know Brian at Shenmue Park was sat there putting all these inputs in through the debug menu and trying to find this, just trying to see what was working, what wouldn't work. And he literally stumbled across it. It's not like he knew it was there. He stumbled across it, holy shit, there's something new here. And what it does, it gives some context to the barbershop scene in Shenmue 2. It makes Zhang look very much less useless than he is in Shenmue 2. He actually can fight, which made me laugh a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just such a cool cutscene. And obviously Switch did a write-up on it as well following this, sort of following on from the Game Jam beta stuff with the Secret of Meow Village and the cut and all the rest of it, which some of the dialogue in this cutscene makes reference to it. Again, it's just golden, absolutely golden. This discovery, it's up there with certainly the biggest discoveries in Shenmue sort of history, certainly within the last 5 years, and I'd argue probably even further back in some regards as well. It's definitely up there as one of the biggest discoveries for a long time, and it's brilliant. Outside of sort of having Meow Village playable, the Saturn build, something like that. It's that level down from it, and that's insane.
And this just came out of nowhere. We didn't even know this one existed, whereas we know those other ones exist. This is just randomly just appeared out of nowhere. Which is
literally out of nowhere.
Crazy. Yeah. But go check that out, guys. Links in the description, of course, and links also to Switch's really cool 11-part series at this point, The Secret of Meow Village. Great reads. Next up, Matt, another little sort of nice new addition to the classic Shenmue games. We've got this 70-man battle mod that's been created by Richard Payne that allows you to play as Guizhang and also actually play with Guizhang's moveset, which is crazy as well, right?
Yeah, we did this on stream I want to say we did it on the 4th as well of October. I think it was October. I'd have to yeah, it was October. I'm just reading the article to refresh my memory. And again, Richard Payne's done a hell of a job. It's taken him a long time to get this working properly. He's thought it through. He's had to change some controls a little bit to give Guizhang his true feel. He definitely feels heavier in motion Guizhang when you play as him. It's a mod that can at the moment only be played on the Dreamcast. I believe it probably could make its way to PC, the PC version of the re-release eventually. But I don't know if that'll happen anytime soon. But we've got all the links downloadable off of our website, and there's a video with it being played, and we streamed it. I wasn't very good as Guizhang, I must say, because you've got sort of Ryo in your muscle memory, haven't you, when you're playing a 70-man battle. But I did manage to clear it after a few goes, and it's a very different way to fight. Like, for example, if you use his base moveset, you can't block. So that's quite challenging. But then if you change it up a little bit, you can. So it's, again, the community knows no bounds with this sort of stuff. So great work again.
Yeah, some interesting moves that Guizhang can pull off as well. I was watching you do. Definitely go check that out, guys, if you've got like a Dreamcast emulator or something, or just a way to play the Dreamcast version of Shenmue, get this mod downloaded and give it a shot. I guess speaking of sort of like fan-made stuff, obviously keep an eye out for Dreams of Saturn 2.0 that'll be releasing next month.
Oh yes,
we'll be doing a special episode for our Christmas special, all about Dreams of Saturn 2.0. Fun to get George back on the show. And obviously, I don't know if we ever did say, but Reclaiming the Path that he was working on, that, you know, the sort of Shenmue 2 Guilin vibe of a game that's going to be releasing soon. That's going to be, that has been postponed until, is it April next year?
He said originally March, but then he said it might be towards the summer now. Right. I think that game sort of spiraled is the wrong word, but it's expanded into something like massive, and George,
and obviously he's working on Dreams of Saturn 2, so
so he's juggling two games at once. And George is very much a perfectionist when it comes to Shenmue and making sure it's right, and that again I think feeds into the delays as well. But I'd rather a game was delayed than it not and it turn out rubbish. It won't. This will be absolutely
this
fine.
Looks spectacular.
And Dreams of Saturn 2.0 looks epic as well. That's going to be very different vibe though. Dreams of Saturn takes itself a bit less seriously, I think, and that's very deliberate in how George wants to present it. Whereas Reclaiming the Path is going to be, while it's a fan fiction story, it could be considered canon in some people's eyes, I guess, and therein lies the difference.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely keep an eye out for those as well. And the reason I brought up fan games as well, that someone else has been, I forget the name off the top of my head, but posting video clips in the Shenmue Dojo Discord of a game that they're working on that's like a Shenmue quiz, but it's also kind of interactive, and you know what I mean? Like, this has been the year of fan games. We've had probably like 3 this year, right? 3 or 4 this year alone, and then Dreams of Saturn last year, and it's kind of mad that people are sort of coming out of the woodwork to create Shenmue fan games. It's really cool. It could be just that sort of like we're waiting for Shenmue 4 announcement. We're sort of in that period of waiting. So to fill the void of, fill that time, people want to make their own Shenmue fan games, which is really cool.
It was, and I mean, it was great seeing this quiz. And then I made a fan game video through the years, but then this quiz came out. This came out just after I recorded the bloody thing. I was like, oh, for God. That video ended up being like a near on hour long video going through all the fan games. I've done a follow-up video which will be published not too far away, but I've done a follow-up to that as well. So there's a few others that I've come across since then. And I did promise I'd do one if there were games that I'd missed or people had pointed out to me. So again, across the 2 videos, you're probably looking at a good hour 20 of me going into video game, all the fan games through the years, looking at them, screenshots, testing them a little bit. That project took me ages, but I'm really pleased that we've got that documented now, like somewhere that we can then, we'll be staying online forever. I've had to use Wayback Machine and all sorts to find out what I could, and it's a shame when you go back through the internet, stuff's been lost. But I guess that is what it is. On a little side note as well, Orient on the forums has put together a full like HD version of the map of the harbour from Shenmue 1 as well. So if you want to go and check that out, he's popped great map, and he's popped that in our Discord as well. So we'll link that in the YouTube description. This is a big news section, isn't it?
it's massive, but we have got quite a lot of things to catch up on. But I will say, Matt, actually thinking out loud, like that 1 hour 20 sort of combined video that you've created there, all the fan games, I think it could be worth just sort of converting that into an audio form, and we'll put that up as a bonus show, actually, if you want, like a Matt special bonus show. Why not? If you think it'll work in audio form.
Getting me talking shit for nearly an hour and a half.
Yeah, but it's like you say, it's cataloguing all these fan games. I think people probably would be interested if they've not seen the video. Maybe you're more of an audiophobe.
Maybe. I can do that. I can sort that out.
Pop that out for you, definitely. So Matt, coming into the last couple now. So these are sort of oldish sort of news headlines now, but we never got them covered. So it could be new news to someone. But Yu Suzuki was spotted at TGS. So TGS happened, was it the start of October or the tail end of August?
It was, start of October. So this was posted on the 3rd of October, actually. I stumbled across this on Twitter. There's a photo of Yu Suzuki at what is the Sega party with a person called Justin Shriram Keeling. Now, I'd never heard of this person before, but digging into his Twitter profile, he owns like a gaming company in India who invest in video game projects of all shapes and sizes, and was also involved in the CR Smash VR that came out last year as well, quite heavily involved with that. I'm very much involved with Japanese developers and things like that. So this is purely speculation. I mean, Yu Suzuki is an icon. It should be considered an icon in video gaming history, and it could have just been that they met each other on this party, had a chat, and went on their merry way. But I'd like to hope that maybe there were some conversations about Shenmue, and we then took advantage of it, found out what his company was, and tagged him and his company in the last couple of tweet-a-thons, and I suspect have broken their Twitter page, but never mind.
That's the deal done with now, Matt. He's fed up with everyone tweeting at him.
He's just got, for fuck's sake, give him the money.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's turned out like that. That'd be good to do. But yeah, it's just a bit of an interesting one, because obviously from the interview we did with Yu Suzuki earlier in the year, publisher, partner, those were the key words that he was saying. He needs a partner.
Yes.
And looking into this guy, he is essentially an international partner of video games, right? That is basically what his company does. They partner up with people and create video games. So hopefully there's some sort of crossover there, this word of partner and then this person that they're seeing drinking together in what to me has been the only photograph of Yu Suzuki that I've seen from TGS. I don't think I've noticed anyone else posting pictures. This one in particular is interesting because it's with him, who partners with video game people to create video games. So there could be something in it. It might just be a random photograph of Yu Suzuki getting drunk with some dude that loves Yu Suzuki's works, which is very viable as well. Actually, I'd do the same.
Yeah, let's see how this pans out. Who knows? It's fun to speculate.
Oh, definitely. Finally, brief little mention here now. Shenmue's blog post extraordinaire really goes into like crazy deep dives, sort of like Shenmue 2 as his forte, I would say, in terms of like the characters of Shenmue 2, and this is no exception. Now he's done the curious case of the missing yellow head, which essentially I believe it's sort of like a coordination with George as he was working on Reclaim the Path, who is going sort of down this Chi-Men route. He noticed that there was like character models of Chi-Men members that perhaps weren't too familiar, so Stu's gone down a bit of a rabbit hole to try and find out who these Yellowhead members are, and obviously he did the character profile list back in the day, and he didn't even realise that these, I don't know how many there is the two of these Chi-Men members or whatever, that weren't actually in Shenmue 2, but they are in the Game Jam. It's like weird, it's like some sort of weird crossover that they changed the models for some reason, so these are sort of like unused models of Yellowhead characters, and yeah, you'll get all the details in his blog post. Definitely check that out if that sounds interesting to you. And then segueing into the last news section point now, with Stuart Peacock of shenmusings.com, he joined us, me and Matt, as Team Dojo on the recent Sega Lounge quiz, where we were pitted up against the sort of mighty force of the Dreamcast Junkyard guys. So we up against Lewis, Andrew and Brian, who I think is the Saturn Junkyard guy, but obviously we sort of took a liberty having Stu in the Shenmue Dojo team. They sort of took a little bit of a liberty having Brian in the Dreamcast Junkyard team. But definitely check that out, especially if you like Sega and quizzes, especially. Or you should be subscribed to the Sega Lounge anyway, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, you should. If you're not already, why aren't you?
But yeah, really fun times, and that's going to bring us to the end of the news section, Matt. So we're probably about an hour in already, and we haven't even got to the main topic. So this is definitely going to be a long show, guys. So strap in. But we're going to take a little bit of a music break now to sort of have a little bit of a breather, and whet your appetites for the main show ahead. We're going to be playing a piece of music here. This is What's Shenmue Options. What? White. Right, welcome back. That was the option screen from Watch Shenmue. Piece of music there. Sort of played that actually just because it's got that nice sort of pre-Shenmue beta sort of sounding vibes. Obviously, it's not a piece of music that was actually used in Shenmue. It was only used in Watch Shenmue, but it's got that sort of like very old school, nostalgic, I don't know, I've run out of describing words actually to sort of say what I'm trying to say there with point wise. But yeah, basically the main show is about the Shenmue premiere that took place in Japan all those many years ago, even before people even knew what Shenmue was. This show is out there, and we're going to be getting really stuck into all the nitty gritty details of the Shenmue premiere, Matt. So I'm just going to read this a little bit first. This is taken from Shen Wikipedia. Just a little bit about the premiere first. So on November the 27th, 1998, Sega released the Dreamcast in Japan. The launch game, Virtua Fighter 3TB, also directed by Yu Suzuki, included a preview disc of Shenmue featuring FMV scenes and an interview with Suzuki, but no gameplay footage. That's obviously the Project Berkeley disc that they're talking about there, which is, I think that's unusual, Matt. I don't know how you feel about this, but the Project Berkeley disc, considering those sort of FMV scenes are graphically predating the actual graphics of Shenmue. I mean, they look cool. It's a very watchable video, but it's almost like an FMV. I don't even know if it was like it felt to you like it was an FMV that could have been created for the Sega Saturn, or sort of like a little bit in the middle. It's like graphically quite nice, maybe too nice for even an FMV sequence in a Sega Saturn game. But then I get thinking out loud, I don't know, because like Sonic R had nice FMV scenes, so maybe it was created for the Saturn. What do you think?
Well, it's certainly possible. I mean, I don't know is the honest answer. But when you think of obviously that premiere was in 1998, and obviously the Dreamcast released at late 1998 in Japan. And we know the Saturn build was in development because we've obviously seen the footage of it. So it would make natural sense, I guess, for them to have FMV stuff in there. Because back in the the Sega Saturn days, that was quite common. You'd have like a gameplay section, some FMV, which would fill in your cutscene, because obviously the technology back then didn't really allow you to do that sort of stuff in engine.
Mm-hmm.
So it definitely could have been there. And I interviewed Pandemodium about this a while ago, about the Saturn build, and his view on it was that actually he was not unconvinced that was captured on a base Saturn, which was is mental when you think of how good the Shenmue footage looked on it. So it could well be, if that's the case, that the FMV would have been done on a base Saturn as well. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if technologically it could have been done or not. Somebody who's got far more experience with Sega Saturn and all its technical workings than me will be able to tell me. But I see where you're going, because it does look like it predates quite a lot of what happens in Shenmue, and obviously then goes into things that we haven't even seen yet, which then says to me, like, deep down, whether the story's changed or now, I don't know, but and I know Yu Suzuki's confirmed this as well, that they have a complete story there to tell, and they've obviously shown potentially key elements of that within that trailer, and we don't even know how we're going to get there yet.
Yeah, it's crazy. And sort of what I was getting at, like you say there, Matt, was like, you've got this sort of Sega Saturn-esque, possibly FMV footage, but then less than a month later, they're actually unveiling the main Shenmue game at this premiere event. So it seems unusual to me, in a sense, that they release old footage of a game with a Dreamcast launch title, and then you're sort of talking 3 weeks later that they're actually showing footage of the game running on a Dreamcast, and obviously the graphics are Dreamcast graphics at this point. So unusually, like, unless they just decided to do this because they didn't want to spoil what they were about to show at the premiere to get people excited for the premiere. I don't know. It just seems, it's hard to describe, but like, if you're a Japanese person at the end of 1998 here, and you pick up a Dreamcast for the first time on launch date, you buy Virtua Fighter 3 TB, and it comes with a special disc, and then you're watching the disc, and obviously the footage to us Shenmue fans is incredible, because obviously we played Shenmue 1 and 2, and then you go back and watch the Project Berkeley footage, and it's like, the exciting element of it is it's showing footage that happens after Shenmue 2, and that's like the hungerness about that. But to a Japanese fan who just happens to be playing Virtua Fighter 3 TB, and then they're seeing this sort of footage, I don't know if the footage particularly demonstrates the capability of the Dreamcast, that then they're planning to sort of hype up this event based off the disc. This is Yu Suzuki's brand new game that's going to get unveiled at this event. But then obviously it must have gone down well, because as we know, all of this was like completely full to the brim. All the seats, there was a bum in every seat at these events. So people clearly were excited for whatever Yu Suzuki had. It's just sort of unusual. I just think that they were showing like this sort of Sega Saturn-esque footage, and they're 3 weeks away from unveiling the Dreamcast build, essentially. It
almost undersells it, doesn't it? Again, but maybe that's the point. Because you see this FMV stuff, and I know like Sonic Adventure had some cutscenes done in the engine, but they were quite, I don't want to use the term rudimentary, because at the time they definitely weren't, but compared to Shenmue and what was shown in that premiere and the cutscenes and what's in the eventual final Shenmue game, it was
mind-blowing,
and
right?
The leap from that FMV to seeing the dojo cutscene in engine, delivered in engine, was mind-blowing. That it was the contrast was stark. So maybe it was a deliberate thing to go, yeah, look, you think this looks good, you wait, you just wait.
Here's a tease.
Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
But then, like I was saying, 3 weeks later, December the 20th, 1998, Sega unveiled Shenmue at a conference at the Yokohama International Assembly Hall, and demonstrated its clock, weather, and QuickTime event systems. Fans could watch the conference online, which I didn't actually realize that at the time. That's crazy.
No,
you're talking 1998. I don't know if that was live streamed, or they just mean like you could download a video of it. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. 56 kilobyte internet from Japan. That would have been interesting.
If that, mate,
Might
because
be able
didn't
to.
the
Well,
Japanese
yeah.
Dreamcasts had
Well, it was
28K modems, I
33 point.
think.
Was it 33.6 in some of them? It was really
Possibly.
quite slow.
Yeah, so you're talking sort of
Oh.
like primitive internet watching there. I don't know if it was, like I say, I don't know if it was live streamed. If it was probably like 24p.
You probably have like a as I say, you have the window on the screen about the size of a stamp sort of thing.
Yeah,
wouldn't
I
it?
can't imagine it would have been streamed. I think maybe you could have just downloaded like,
Yeah, I suspect you
know,
probably could have like downloaded bits
and
of
sort
it
of
and
like the
watched it.
gang entertainment videos back in the day. It was probably split into like 30 parts just for ease of download. Maybe.
Yeah.
It says initial reactions were positive, with Edge saying it could be one of the most ambitious and important video game endeavours of the decade. However, the QuickTime events angered some fans who had assumed that Shenmue would only use Virtua Fighter style battles, which is interesting to hear that.
That's interesting. I
I mean, I don't particularly remember anyone being particularly angry, but maybe you got some sort of these video game media companies who maybe reporting on that in their reviews, saying like QuickTime events, they'd rather have just had a fight, perhaps. I don't know.
I suspect so, but I guess again, I mean, QTEs are everywhere now, aren't they, in games? So I get that expectation because the Virtua Fighter engine is brilliant, and we know that. But actually, I think had it just had Virtua Fighter style battles in it, I think eventually it would have maybe worn thin. So having those QTEs in the game, I don't know, it just pulls you in, doesn't it, in terms of the cutscenes that are going on. You also have to be paying attention, which is just
True.
quite another point as well. You can't just sit there and look at your phone like, well, you couldn't back then anyway, but you know what I mean. You can't sit there with a Shenmue game and think, I'm just gonna, oh shit, QTE, I'm dead. It's like that. You can't do that. So I think for that it made sense to put something else in there, because I think the gameplay could have got a little bit repetitive with the fighting. So it made sense. And actually, I think some of the set piece QTEs, like in Heartbeats, for example, where Rio batters people, kicks them over the bar, and all the stuff like that, like even today hold up really well. And that sort of thing you don't get with the Virtua Fighter style battles, and it just complements the game having those QTEs more for me.
Yeah, same. It's got good variety in that sense, and just the cinematic quality in those QT events. Just make the gameplay exciting, and you're talking like I'm thinking of that really long QT sequence in is it White Dynasty Quarter, where Rio's going around and twatting people in the boxes and ducks going flying everywhere, and there's a watermelon to the face sort of thing. That is
so
QTE's done well. Yeah, definitely.
So it's so well done.
So well done for sure. Yeah. So let's take a quick look now at this Shenmue premiere event. So 20th of December 1998. This was a Sunday at the National Convention Hall, Pacifico, Yokohama, Minato Mirai, Yokohama, which I've actually been to this place. Went with Switch earlier in the year when I was over in Japan, and it's incredible. Definitely add it to your Shenmue bucket list, because if you've got any interest in the Shenmue premiere, you've watched the premiere footage that me and Matt are about to watch in a moment, you see this hall in all its glory inside, and it's just exciting actually when you're there to sort of think, God, 25 years ago, this place was buzzing with people who didn't even know what Shenmue was, and there's a real nostalgic sort of quality to that, even though I couldn't attend this because I was only like 12, if you know what I mean. And I didn't even know it was a thing, to be honest, until I bought Shenmue. And probably, not even when I bought Shenmue, you're talking, probably didn't find out that this event happened until someone said it happened on the internet like 10 years later. So it's this sort of event that's sort of trapped in its own sort of time capsule bubble. And it's just really cool to actually attend that sort of place in person and just sort of get the vibe from what was going on in this footage. And seeing it in person, just, I don't know, it's just cool to me anyway. But essentially, the day was split into 3 sessions. So we probably will find out a little bit more about this, but I think there was some sort of ticketing system, like a lottery thing, where you sort of applied if you wanted to attend, and then obviously the sort of said, okay, we've got your seat, you can come to this event at this sort of session time, come here on the day and show us this confirmation sort of thing. I think there was we actually did it actually when we went for the merchandise. There was like a sheet one that you could apply, say which session you wanted to go to actually, and apply for actually coming to this event. So your session 1 was from the hours of 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So it's nice 2-hour chunks, jam-packed as well, that we'll show you what's actually in this premiere event when we get to the video. 1:30 till 3:30 was session 2, and then 5 p.m. till 7 p.m. was session 3. And there was actually 5,000 attendees at each of these sessions. So already in one day, you've seen 15,000 people witness Shenmue for the first time, which is crazy. And
Yeah,
I'm going to
that's
ask you a
insane.
question in a little bit, Matt, about this, but let me just run through this. So special guest appearances were made by Hiroshi Fujioka and managing director Yukawa, Mr. Yukawa, and all that sort of stuff. And Hiroshi, he's actually the Sagata Sanshiro, that sort of viral Japanese advert sensation back in the day. He's also the voice of WoW, in case anyone didn't know that, Japanese voice. Shenmue Premiere was also at the following 5 main cities with 2 sessions, one between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m, and session 2 was 4 p.m. till 6 p.m. So the 5 cities were Osaka, Fukuoka, Hokkaido, Sendai, and Nagoya. So the Osaka one was on the 9th of January 1999, and there was 2,500 attendees at each of the sessions. So again, that's another 5,000. 10th of January was the Sunday. So they've I don't know if they moved everything up and down the country here over the space of a day or two. So the Fukuoka one was 2,500 attendees as well, so another 5,000 on that day. Hokkaido was on the 15th of January, which was a Friday. Again, 5,000 attendees across the 2 sessions. Saturday, the 16th of January in Sendai, 1,000 attendees at each of them, so there's 2,000 on that day. And then finally on the 17th of January, which is the Sunday, that was in Nagoya with 1,500 attendees at each session, giving us a total of 30,000 in attendance across, I guess, all 6 cities, if I've done my math right. So entry,
Mental.
yeah, mental, man. So entry was free at all events as well, so amazing. And everyone got like a goodie bag full of Shenmue merchandise, so a lot of money have been delved into this sort of marketing event in all of these cities. You're talking across Japan, people able to witness Shenmue for the first time and get free stuff, free entry, free merchandise. It says, please arrive prior to the start. Entry tickets will be distributed in front of the venue and all seats are reserved. All attendees will receive original Shenmue merchandise that can be only attained at this event. So yeah, really, really cool. So Matt, this is why I wanted to ask you quickly, just before we watch the video on the premiere. So I've said this is sort of the first time that people are going to be witnessing Shenmue for the first time. I don't know if that's ever happened in video game history before. Obviously, you've got your bigger gaming events like E3 where people are seeing games on stages, maybe on the show floor or in person for the first sort of time. But an actual dedicated event like this for a game that people didn't even know the title of, I don't believe, until they actually arrived there in the Yokohama event on the first day. Again, they only had that Project Berkeley disc to go off of, and I don't even know if they made the connection that this is Yu Suzuki's next game that you're going to be attending, or they just saw, Yu Suzuki's releasing a new game for the Dreamcast. Maybe there's been like bits and bobs in magazines about it, and there was a little bit of hype behind it, but people are just mainly going just because they probably support Yu Suzuki's previous projects like your Virtual Fighters, Hang On, Outrun, Space Harrier, those classics, Afterburner, etc., and they're just intrigued to see what Yu Suzuki's going to be doing next. That could be the basis of it, but have you ever seen anything like this take place ever? Or ever again?
It's hard. Wow, it's hard, isn't it? I mean, when you go back through video game history, and I'd have to really dig into actual history here. The one event that does stand out, and this is more a coordinated release rather than like a premiere event, was Sonic Tuesday with Sonic 2, which got the global release on the Mega Drive, and that was all coordinated. I think it's considered the first like coordinated global release of a video game. But this is different, isn't it? It's like a set. It's building the hype for a game. Now, there may have been other events for other games like Metal Gear Solid, for example, and things like that. But I'd be surprised if any of them stood out on the scale of what they did for Shenmue and how much money they chucked this thing and all the merchandising and everything around it. And the fact it was free. So, they hopefully they made the money back on merch, but this sort of thing was unheard of, massively unheard of. And I think to a large degree, it still is. How many games do you see these days do their own premiere, their own event, like to a scale like that? Very few. So I think it is one of those rare one moment in history sort of things that happen, but don't happen, often, if at all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could potentially imagine it for like a sequel of something, but this is like a brand new property that people are. I know the event's free, so people are probably going to show up regardless, just because it's like a nice free day out for some people. But just the attendances and everything was sold out, if you know what I mean, in terms of bums on seats. Everything was reserved rather for a game that people just didn't know what they were expecting for, and I think that is quite monumental. We're going to get into it, Matt, because we're going to be watching the premiere video, but Yu Suzuki's actually said like he's nervous because what if no one shows,
Yeah.
Which, it's a possibility with new properties like this, but obviously there was something about this project in the air, I think, that got people excited.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're going to be watching the full Shenmue premiere video. It's not a full 2-hour show, guys. Don't worry that we're going to be reacting to the full 2-hour thing. This is sort of a bite-sized chunk of things that happened on the day. It's actually 14 minutes long, and it was included originally with the Dreamcast Express Volume 1 disc. That was a Japanese disc, I guess like a demo disc released with like a magazine, but potentially. I'm not quite sure where the disc was from, but we have handy English subtitles from Switch, of course, who translated this back in the day, quite a while ago now, actually. He's done a number of blog posts on the premiere, one that we're going to be looking at a little bit later. But yeah, thanks to Switch for these translations on this video, Matt. So, have you got your video sort of set already there, Matt?
I am ready to go.
Right, so volume-wise, I might just turn mine down a little bit.
I will, because it'll blow my ears off.
Yeah. So, guys, let's check this out. So this is the Shenmue premiere. We're going to be watching right now. 3, 2, 1, go. It's the Phantom Riverstone one, yeah?
Yeah.
Yep. December the 20th, 1998, Yokohama. On this day, preparations are underway for the premiere event of an actual game, an event of unprecedented scale. Shenmue for the children of the 21st century.
Definitely for us, then.
Definitely for us, yeah. At the event venue, Pacifico Yokohama, a long line has formed of young people who have been waiting since the early morning. As they wait for admission time, what sort of hopes and expectations do they have? I'm hoping for a game that will be innovative and groundbreaking. I came along because I'm sure I'll experience the same feeling of awe as when Virtua Fighter 1 was released. No, it will be even greater than that. Themes such as friendship are an important part of the game, like it showed on the demo disc. Children these days tend to not think much about those kinds of things. And so it's something I'd like to show them. Since it's been made by Yu Suzuki, I made sure to come here very early this morning. I'm really looking forward to it. So we got Yu Suzuki, the producer and executive director of Shenmue, is getting out of his accent.
Megastar, wasn't he, then?
He was back in those days. He says, well, I don't really feel any different from usual. The interview says, oh, that skipped really fast. But I don't know, did you catch what he said then?
He said he'd like to have a look up there at the crowd, and his stomach hurts a bit.
Right. What thoughts will go through the minds of the people in these lines? Will they see the realisation of his vision? He's sort of looking out and waving at them. And now they're entering.
Madness, isn't it? Madness.
Look how many people there is, man.
Those trainers as well, man.
And they're getting their entrance
those tickets, which you have one. You have one of those?
Yeah. Oh, I do, yeah. You're true there. And then there's some nice sort of merchandise and promotional stuff going on. These were like sticker machines.
Yeah.
Potentially giving out Shenmue themed stickers.
Sold.
The event will be commencing soon. Yeah, posters we saw there a moment ago. Yu Suzuki saying, I've been working on today's preparations right up until now, so I don't really feel extra pumped at reaching today. The feeling is more like, at last this day has arrived, and of course, it's not over yet. Now I've got to make sure I do a good job. So yeah, it's like sort of like the Sonic Symphony, how we're all sat
Yeah,
in these
yeah.
seats waiting for a video game presentation. And then they've got a live orchestra here. Conductor Hiroshi.
I tell you what, man, if they ever do a live orchestra Shenmue music anywhere, you've got
So this
to
is
go
the
for that.
Kanagawa whatever orchestra. Some of these subtitles are flashing up quite quickly, actually. Some guy with binoculars in the crowd there. What you can hear, for your audio people out there, what you're hearing in the background here is actually the live music. This is live. Obviously not live right now, but back in the day, this is a lady playing an erhu, I think.
Yes.
That instrument.
So I still get chills every
It's
time I
crazy,
hear
isn't it?
this main theme.
And especially live like this, it's I'm
Yeah.
thinking like people listening to this haven't even heard this song in their lives, mate. This is like the very first time they're hearing Shenmue music. I'd love to have like. I want to know what that felt like, if you know what I mean. Like, is this? Because it is epic. You've got like
Yes.
a 50-odd person orchestra here, saxophones or whatever these are.
It's just mental, like
Crazy.
they've done all this for this premiere, and as you say, it's hearing it for the first time. You don't even know what this leads into or anything. Obviously, we now know it's the main theme, but
God, there's more than 50 there actually. By the way,
there's loads, probably near 100, I reckon.
yeah. And now it's cutting into people walking on the stage. We've got a lady. Looks like she's in a nightgown. Hello, I'm Shingekai Sagayusa. Something. Today I'll be pointing a lot of questions to Yu Suzuki as well as acting as one of the main MCs for the event. And we've got Reiko Chiba. Today is about Yusan's new creation for the Dreamcast, so I'm really looking forward to it. Presenting an event like this takes some getting used to, but I hope you will enjoy it. So let's introduce the producer and executive director Shenmue, Yu Suzuki, to hear about his creation. And here he is, the man himself. Ooh. Some unused Shenmue music there, Matt.
Yeah.
Your software is for the Dreamcast. What made you decide to create something for a home system? As everyone probably already knows, I've been with Sega for 15 years. And up until now, I've been creating only arcade games. An arcade game lasts about 3 minutes on average. Everything has to be condensed. And this self-imposed 3-minute limitation is always present. So I wanted to try making a game where I could use as much game time as needed. Ooh, about the characters. When I last checked a few days ago, on Friday, we now have around 372 characters. Will this number increase further? Last time I also mentioned the same kind of figure, so it may sound like we haven't made much progress, but I wasn't quite satisfied with the quality of some of them, and so we've replaced those ones. Oh, interesting. So this represents the number of characters that are of a reasonable standard. I've set a target to have 500 characters for the release. Wow, we'll be looking
There's
forward to
audible, like, oh my god. Yeah.
audible gasps there. Showing you all 500 now would be a bit pointless, so I picked out a subset, the lead character and several others. So I'm assuming this sort of spills over into Shenmue 2.
Yeah, I would
Rather than
guess
just
so.
describing them verbally, I think it'd be much better for you to see them, so let's watch the video. We've got Rio.
We've got
sketch of
Rio.
Rio. Oh, this is cool. Is this where it morphs into the trees, or is that...
Yes.
Having lost his mother when he was young, he spends his days training under the strict eye of his father. He can be reckless at times and has a quick temper, but he is driven by a strong will. Seeking answers to the mystery of his father's death, his travels take him to China. What lies in store for him there? Love all these cherry blossoms, man.
It's insane, isn't it? They just created this for this.
I know. And Shenfar with a goatee here. The white
Anime
D-roll.
cutscene, anyone?
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it? Again, it's not actually like this in the game. So again, created just for this event. And there's a sort of slightly older style of the dress that she wears there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slight differences in the hat anyway. Shenhua Ling, a childlike looks hide great strength and courage, forged by life in the vast land of China. A mysterious girl, she's pure and unsophisticated while also having a deep compassion. Her encounter with Ryo will change her fate. And that's the bit where she washes up with Ryo, isn't it? I think that part of the...
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it?
Magic weather.
This is some early, beta shots, isn't it?
Yeah. So snow begins to fall lightly, soon it grows heavier and blankets the landscape. Magic weather.
I know that it took this out in the end.
Yeah. This is the name of the revolutionary game system which has made it possible for changes in weather and time to be processed on the fly. You mean like the heavy downfall?
Yeah.
It says magic weather is used in many different areas throughout the game. Let's observe a very small selection of these.
Because I think, to be honest, the Dreamcast probably would have struggled to handle that with all the characters and everything. But it did look insane, didn't it? Like, the fact they could do that back then.
Real heavy snow. And you can also see all the tracks in the snow, can't you? From vehicles and bikes.
And everything.
Quite a few Water Dragon 2 stores there knocking about. Don't know what that one said. Red something? Red Silver?
Red Silver, yeah. It's obviously like a test environment, isn't it, for it? Which makes a lot of sense. But...
Is this the beta one that you can run around in?
No.
Magic Weather is the name I gave to the system. The weather in the game can be different for each person playing, can't it? So someone playing through quickly might experience rain and so on. Actually, what we did is obtain 10 years of data for Yokosuka, including the actual weather for 1986 from the Meteorological Agency. He's laughing. Sugoi. And according to this data, rain started falling from 3 PM on November the 23rd, 1986. So I thought it might be quite fun if we followed that.
Fun.
The area where it starts snowing first is around Obita Street in Yokosuka, isn't it? That's right. So actual weather data is used for the whole game? Well, I'd like to do so much as possible, but it's quite difficult to get a hold of the data for China. That does sound quite tricky. Now I'd like to show some of the actual gameplay. The game contains a lot of different features and it would take too much time to explain them all. So I'll just show some of these. I'll say it's only a third or less of actual features in the game. So let's have a look at this video clip.
Excellent.
Ooh, Shenmue 2 stuff.
Yeah.
Early Shenmue 2 stuff.
Yeah, very early.
As you progress through the story, conversations with people play an important role. Conversations can be started simply by approaching the person you would like to talk to and pressing the A button. Different music again, by the way. And here, particular care has been taken in the... missed that last word.
This is well early Shenmue 2, isn't it?
Unlike games of the past, you won't have trouble speaking with people when you're not standing directly in front of them. Just in like real life, conversations are possible even if you're within speaking distance. And you won't find the people you talk to repeating the same response over and over. Conversations have been crafted to be natural and realistic.
God, look at that Lotus Park.
There's a little bit of 5 Stars Corpse in this music.
Yeah, there is.
In addition, conversations are not limited to those that you start yourself. People will also strike up conversations with you. By replying with yes or no choices, the player can influence the game. And if you don't feel like talking, you can walk away mid-conversation. I've done that a few times actually.
I've done that
accidentally, where you walk away and Ryo actually says something like bye or something, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Ooh, we've got the planks. Wong at Momo Temple.
That's anime as well, that little scene there.
Yeah, true. Wong throwing the cherry bombs.
Yeah.
Firecrackers, whatever. I mean, this stuff is somewhere, right? This gameplay and storytelling and stuff.
course it is. It's in the vaults of Sega. I want it. I want it all.
Well, right now Dreamcast production is not quite keeping up with the demand, but selfishly I'd like to say, please wait until Shenmue is released. Or something like that. The Dreamcast excels hardware-wise, so I'm sure there will be good software coming. Everyone's clapping, applauding, and leaving on this day a vision has been shared. The many people who've gathered at the event have been witness to the birth of a completely new type of game. In an endlessly vast land, a new story is born. Realistic down to the finest detail and uncompromisingly faithful in its something. It's the birth of a new type of game that's unlike anything before. Shenmue. And there we go.
There we are.
Apologies for missing a couple of words out of that, guys. The subtitles were really
Did
fast.
pretty well to keep up with that, man.
It was sometimes I thought I had more time than I had, if you know what I mean. Like it was a big long sentence, so I was reading it a little bit more slower and then disappeared. But very cool. I love that.
Look at some of that, like the footage and some of it back then. Even now, you look at it and go, flipping heck. You can see where the money went, because like how many revisions of things made for specific events and everything else. I'd love one day to get like the proper like versions of the stuff they used. I have tried. I have asked people in the know whether they can get hold of it, because some of it still exists. I'm told some of it is in the vaults of Sega, but whether you can get it is another question.
Or just even like high-res footage of some of the videos would be cool.
Oh man, that would give so many spoilers away as well, and stuff that we haven't seen yet, and areas that got canned. That on its own would be insane, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, there is like a full 2-hour or at least an hour video of the Shenmue premiere, I think, right? Am I making that up?
Yeah, there is like a longer version of it kicking around.
Yeah. Or, it was like originally broadcast on a TV show or something back in the day. But yeah, that little one, we'll link that video in the description below, or you can be watching the video version of the podcast if you want to see that video in its entirety and some of the things that we were looking at there, maybe catch some of the words that I missed in the subtitles. But yeah, really, really cool footage there. We're going to be delving a little bit more into the actual premiere event in a moment with a couple of blog posts, just to sort of get through more of the detail of the show. But before that, we'll have a little music break now to break things up a bit. So we're going to be listening to the menu theme from What Shenmue now. Welcome back, guys. So let's open up this topic here, Matt. I think I've already got it open. It is the Shenmue Dojo one. So again, this has been written by Switch. I'm not sure if this is actually on phantomriverstone.com, but you posted this on the old forums back in December the 12th, 2015. So this is sort of a translation of a Dreamcast magazine back in January 1999. He says the January 1999 edition of the Dreamcast magazine contained a multi-part feature on Shenmue. The first installment is a translation of Part 1, the Shenmue premiere event, and then there's some more parts coming up, but we're going to be reading the Shenmue premiere part, of course, and I might let you do some reading here, Matt, because I've just sort of read quite a lot of stuff. If you want to go down to the orange text and read some of that.
Look.
Yeah, he's also got screenshots of the pages of the magazine that's talking about the event here, which is pretty cool.
And we'll link it for everybody to see, and I will put some shots of this in the video as well, so people can have a look and as we go. So part 1 is the Shenmue premiere event, dated 20th December 1998, and it's a special report, 2 hours of quivering emotion. Yu Suzuki finally removes the veil from his latest release. And it then goes on to say that ever since the title of the game was announced, Yu Suzuki's latest game, Shenmue, has been wrapped in a shroud of secrecy. It is of a mind-boggling scale, employs graphics of the highest quality, which are rendered completely in real time. Together, these define a new genre, free. Our Super Magazine feature is a must-read. And it goes on to a next section which says, Shenmue heating things up in Yokohama. So on Sunday, December 20th, a day blessed with a fine cloudless weather with maximum temperature of 13 degrees Celsius, a stream of fans arrived from early in the morning to attend the premiere event for Yu Suzuki's latest creation, Shenmue, hosted at Pacifico, Yokohama. The event, held 3 times in total over a day that was filled with excitement and applause, was a huge success. The densely packed 2 hours flew by in an instant. 2 hours?
Yeah, man.
Blooming heck. And it included an orchestral performance, eye-popping images, and demo gameplay on actual consoles, and left the attendees quivering with emotion. The event drew together all the attractions of Shenmue. We followed proceedings from before the start of the presentation, so let us share with you a taste of that atmosphere. And then there's some pictures here of the crowd outside, and then somebody is picking up his premiere bag with a load of freebies in it, and it's captioned underneath there. You've got the line. Yeah, yes.
Shaking hands with Mr. Yukawa.
Yes, it is. You've got a line of attendees on the left-hand side there. A person at the front of the line apparently been there since 6 a.m.
Wow. Okay. And what time did it start? 10?
I think it was like was it like 10 or 11 in the day? So that's quite a long time. I mean, to be honest, that's probably been us. Let's be honest.
That would have been, especially now.
Yeah. And then on the right was a handshake event with managing director Yukawa. So that again, he's the guy there's got his premiere bag. Picture below that, somebody else with a premiere bag. There's a bustling first floor lobby with decorated in Christmas colours with a photo sticker booth and merchandise for sale. Top officials from Sega also gathered there.
He's got a poster as well, I think.
He's got a lot of stuff there. Never know, it could be one of the posters that one of us own now. Yeah, it could be that actual poster that he bought. Or it could be the Rio that nobody can get.
Yeah.
So then going on, it says opening with a 30-minute 4-movement orchestral performance. So premiere event scene 1. So the attendees were shown one after another into the scenically situated Pacifico Yokohama Event Center. At the bell announcing at the start of the performance, an image with the word RPG ? Was displayed on the screen for 1 minute 20 seconds, as previously seen in last autumn's Tokyo Game Show and elsewhere. After that, the main theme of Shenmue quietly began to play. Most amazing to the attendees must have been the length of the orchestral performance, fully 30 minutes. The orchestra was situated in the front of the first row of seating and played all 4 soothing movements of the Shenmue theme. Accompanied by a harmony of light and images, it drew the listeners into the world of Shenmue. Already, the attendees were captivated by this opening, which set it far apart from a mere game event. Following this, 2 event presenters made their entrance together with Yu Suzuki. And then underneath that, you've got on the left-hand side picture, you've got a number of the developers and guests, as well as Sega's employees, wait impatiently for the curtain to rise. And then attendees filled the seating to the 3rd floor. So it's quite big, like 2,500, or was it more than 5,000, wasn't it?
5,000
big one.
Ones, yeah. Yeah.
And then on the right, you've got the orchestral performance lasting for a whole 30 minutes. However, I can't even talk. However, the soothing Shenmue composition made you lose a sense of time. There's the orchestra, which looks like it's preparation from like in before the day, but getting themselves ready.
So cool.
Then under that, you've got Riko Chiba and Shigeki Sugusa in MC roles. and you got some pictures of them there with take the MC of the event was Riko Chiba, being apparently an expert gamer. She also made insightful comments. Center was a composer. Shigeki Sugiura also took the stage, and then not long ago he resigned as an external director of Sega due to many other commitments. He was superb as master of ceremonies. Okay, so he'd obviously left the company at that point. And then, fulfilling Yu Suzuki's promise to show plenty of images, more than 70 minutes worth of Shenmue material was shown together with detailed commentary. The entire audience was overwhelmed. And then everything you need to know about the original Shenmue merchandise.
Wow.
There's a lot of it.
Yeah.
There is a lot. So it's that there's already a rich lineup of Shenmue-related items. We'll reveal the splendid take-home goodies that are on everybody's lips, as well as the merchandise in the sales area. This is the Shenmue merchandise that was available in the sales area. Fittingly, for the season, calendars were popular sellers, but there was some gorgeous limited edition items, and the quality of the official brochure must be seen to be believed. And then you've got the photo of all the items laid out. And then it says from top left, you've got the calendar, which was 2,500 yen. I don't know what that is in money.
Not much.
Then you've got the original print signed by Yu Suzuki, a limited batch of 50,000 yen.
Oh, okay. So that's what we were looking at. That's like even bigger than the posters.
Like that is like Holy Grail rare now.
I don't know how many of them did you. I feel like in that last video that we covered, he said that was it 250 we noticed or something?
Something like that, wasn't it? It wasn't very many.
But I don't think many would have been purchased, especially if, you're talking 50,000, but then also you've got to sort of carry them home somehow, right? So,
I don't know how you're getting that home.
No, I don't.
And then poster, 4 types were 1,500 yen each. You had, which again, that's dirt cheap.
Dirt cheap. Notebook,
300 yen. Mouse mat, 600 yen each. Figurine, expected price 2,000 yen each. Which was on sale from March 1st. The plastic folders, 350 yen. 350 yen. Telephone card, 1,000 yen. Premier event limited edition ballpoint pen, limit of 1,000 pens, 2,000 yen each. The ballpoint pen, 200 yen.
So the limited edition one must be the floating pen. I would have thought that.
Yeah. That would be, wouldn't it?
There's only 1,000 of those floating pens in existence.
That's probably less than that now as well.
Probably less than that now. I imagine all the ones that got binned or
I know.
I suppose. Mad.
And CD single, price to be determined. The mug or mugs, 800 yen. There's 4 mugs there. From January 18th, Monday, this merchandise will be on sale at places like Sega Freaks Akihabara branch, Sega Freaks Fuse branch, Duopolis in Tokyo, Shinjuku, Yokohama, and Fukawa branches.
That would have been cool.
Fukawa branches, rather. Yeah. So yeah, I'd love to have got out there to get some of that stuff back then.
Definitely.
You'd have gone out there and bought the lot, and now you'd be like,
especially at those prices. Well, knowing what we know now.
And knowing what I know now, I'd have bought about 10 lots of everything and then be like, right, here we go. And then sell it all and go, right, here's a house deposit. Some of it is worth a lot of money now.
Tell me about it.
Insane. And then it says, these splendid items were handed out for free to attendees of the premiere event. You too can receive them, excluding the Christmas card, by attending any of the events to be held in 5 cities across the country. Also, we have a special giveaway of 10 sets to Dori Maga readers. So we showed these in the videos. So you've got the blue pamphlet, I think is that the notebook, the little notebook? Because the image is quite pixelated.
CD single or something.
And you've got the tattoo sheet, the Christmas card, what might be the CD or the notebook, we're not quite sure.
It's a weird shape, whatever that is.
It is. You've got the Shenhua statue. We've given loads of those away over the years. They still pop up quite frequently now. They sell quite well. The T-shirt, the black T-shirt, which I bought about 4 of them by accident. But they're always worth having. And it tells you what they all are underneath as well. Yeah. What you were right. So the top image of Shenhua, like vertical, that was the CD, and then
CD,
was the notebook. So you got it the right way around there, which is quite impressive.
Okay,
they're very difficult to tell. And then come on to premiere event scene 2, live demonstration on a Dreamcast. So after showing in succession a making of Shenmue video, an eye-opening clip introducing characters and images and commentary about magic weather, the venue heated up further. Towards the middle of the event, actual gameplay was demonstrated on Dreamcast consoles, including quick timer events, they're now called quick time events, and a gambling scene. Each scene had been prepared separately on one of 4 Dreamcasts, and various aspects were demonstrated. Following that, a video was shown with a message from Baji Quan Master Lian Zi Wu, who obviously is a very good friend of Yu Suzuki and broke his ribs.
True. Twice, I think.
I think twice, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got a photo there of them showing stuff off. During the gameplay, demo play, a QTE chase scene, a battle, a gambling scene were exhibited as well as magic weather. Game designer Mr. Okayasu also made an appearance. Now, this is this is interesting. You talk about this now. We were talking about this earlier. Live streaming to the internet.
Really?
So live internet streaming was set up for each of the 3 events held on the day, and they were broadcast to the world. Dreamcast users were able to view an abridged newsflash edition. Right, so that's how they got it online.
How was that?
Wow. Wow, they did an abridged
flash edition.
So that's mental.
Back in 98?
A live stream in 1998.
That can't be right, can it? That doesn't sound right to me.
Well, that's what was in the magazine. And I
download porn back in those days.
I trust Switch's translations, though, all day of the week.
For sure, yeah.
Insane. 1998, and there's a live streaming event. That then must be one of the first, if not the first, live streaming gaming event ever.
I don't even know how people would have known that was a thing, if you know what I mean, to even watch it.
You wouldn't have been able to back then on our internet. It would have buffered for about 7 hours just to watch a minute.
Do you think? Well, I guess not, because of the modems that are in the Dreamcast. But I was going to say was like, did Japan have state-of-the-art internet back in those days?
Don't know, because over here we'd have been lucky to have 56k.
Yeah.
Back then, I don't think I got anything beyond that until I was like 14.
I don't think we had the internet in our house until easily the year 2000. And then it was like, like you say, it was dial-up. It took like a couple of minutes to even get online. And then everything was like painstakingly slow, I guess. I can't imagine live streams working. But they must have
I don't know how they did it, but I'd love to, yeah. And then there's a picture of somebody standing up, looking like they are asking a question or saying so. Mr. Oshii, who attended the second event, I wasn't interested in the computer graphics, but I'm glad I was able to meet a girl like Shenhua, he commented. And then you've got premiere event scene 3. Actors for the main characters also took the stage. As a presentation neared the end, the actors for each of the Shenmue characters took the stage and addressed the audience. So you had Hiroshi Fujioka was the last to enter the stage, saying, "I'm greatly moved," he proclaimed. Then you've got Ria Hazuki, Masaya Matsukaze.
Very young Masaya Matsukaze.
He still looks bloody young now, the bastard. I don't know how he does that. He said, "I had a heap of lines, so it was tough," says Matsukaze, who plays Ryo. Shenmue is fully voiced. And he obviously was the voice of the anime as well. Yep. Character, Shenhua Ling, Hazuki Ishigaki, who I believe has retired, hasn't she?
Something like that, right? Because they had to replace it for Shenmue 3.
They did. Ishigaki, who plays Shenhua, already has quite a fan following. Her slightly ditzy, there's a question mark next to that, personality went down well with the attendees. Another one who's disappeared off the face of the earth, character Wu Yingrang Takayumi Hagiwara. I probably cocked that right up. But Yu Suzuki spoke favourably of Hagiwara, commenting, "He performs the role of Ren elsewhere just by being himself. He's cool, but underneath a fine young man." And then you've got character Iwao Hazuki, Hiroshi Fujioka. Fujioka had a considerable stage presence. His smart, suited figure made a striking impression. It's very interesting that they're unveiling Ren's actor in the premiere event, and he doesn't pop up in the game until Shenmue 2.
Halfway through that as well.
I know. So there you are. Premiere event scene 4. Director Yukawa will be participating in further premiere events nationally in 5 of the largest cities throughout the new year. And there's a photo of him just under there with a quote: "Shenmue is amazing. It will sell well, and I will return as managing director," laughed the former managing director Yukawa. A little bit ironic, who was last to be introduced. Going forward, he will also be making appearances throughout the country. Unless, joking aside here, Shenmue 1 actually sold quite well worldwide. I think it's 1.2 million, which is pretty good on the console, but obviously the costs of it just among other things, murdered it. And then the 2-hour presentation reached its finale in the blink of an eye. At the end, videos shown were included an extraordinary scene of ducking and weaving through a forest. Unbelievably, the graphics were rendered in real time, with attendees feeling extremely satisfied the event began to wind up. The guests who were introduced, together with director Yukawa, differ at the end of each of the event showings. The second one, it was Marumu Oshii, a grandmaster of the anime world, and CG director Daisahabaru Harada. And the third was Karol Sugita, who made an appearance. I wonder if the attendees felt a bit lucky. For those people who weren't able to attend, the same presentation will be held in various cities in the new year. So if you are a Dreamcast owner, then you should go. You should definitely go. We'll be covering them in a future edition. And then it lists the presentation. So 2 showings will be held at each venue. I won't go through them because we've already talked about them at the top of the show. And that is the end of the orange bit. Would you like me to carry on?
No, because the next bit is future posts that Switch is sort of advertising there. But yeah, especially there's an interview later that we'll get into on a future show. I would have thought be saving that one. But yeah, really cool. If you're interested in any of that, guys, go check that out. If you're interested in some more of the merchandise, there's another good blog post by Switch who details all of the things that are included in the little bag. And we showed this bag off in our video, Matt, the bonus show last month. And yeah, we sort of showed off all of the merchandise items if you're interested in that. One thing we will have a quick look at now is this blue pamphlet. So this pamphlet was handed out to all attendees. Yeah, so it was part of the merchandise handed to attendees of the 1998-1999 Shenmue premiere. The cover of the pamphlet has the game's title in the Japanese katakana alphabet, with kanji characters beneath it, overlaid on a dragon motif with a pinkish tinge on a blue background. So in fact, there exists 2 versions of the blue pamphlet. So the one that we're looking at today, I'm reading this from Switch's blog post, again contains artwork for Shenmue 2, while the other introduces Shenmue 1, which is interesting. So the one that they were actually handing out to people at the premiere event had Shenmue 2 screenshots in, bizarrely.
Strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's strange, but we did kind of discuss this a little bit last time, right, where it's like, it's probably just because they were working on that part of Shenmue, and like the Shenmue 1 stuff is the bit that's sort of like expanded, and then they decided to release that as its standalone game. Originally it was going to be packaged as like 1 and 2, but Shenmue 1 actually got so big, or maybe Shenmue 2 got so big that they decided to split them. I don't know. But yeah, something like that. So it says, being trifold, the pamphlet opens out to 6 sides. Inside can be found a mixture of images from the game, as well as introductory descriptions about its features. And he's got screenshots there that you can check out. If you don't actually own this pamphlet, you can see exactly what's on each of these trifold pages. So the pages are glossy, show off the full colour artwork nice. And there's an interesting thought that these images would have been produced in 1998, well before Shenmue 2's release in 2001. So it may be possible to identify minor differences compared to the final game. And then on the back of the pamphlet is a poetic message that hints at the story to come. So I'm going to read this poem out to you now, because it's not quite the prophecy, it's slightly different. So let's have a read of this. So this is what attendees would have read. It's a little bit about the game, I guess. So, and again, this has been translated by Switch, so it's as accurate as possible in English. The depths of despair, sadness welling up from inside. Then, a decision. A young boy sets off west to an as yet unseen land. The adventure begins. Pride, anxiety, expectations, and betrayal. The boy tries to take in the unknown world around him. An encounter with a mysterious young girl. The endless lands embracing the 2 of them. New courage is budding. The ones you love. The moment of fate. A battle of life and death. Companions, friends, and love. He thinks he felt a flicker of love. Something begins to gradually flow into a frozen heart. He is not alone anymore. A brand new journey begins. Keep friends, those you love, close to you.
That
interesting.
Is very foretelling, I think.
You think, where's this flicker of love? Do you reckon it's Shenmue or?
Well, it could be, and it could be Nozomi and all of that. And it says he's not alone anymore, so and a brand new journey. It's all interesting, isn't it? It's very
It is, yeah.
foretelling. That could be. That could also be hinting at things later on. It's insane, isn't it?
Mm. Something begins to gradually flow into a frozen heart. What do you think that means?
I suspect that's him, like with his grief for his father, and then as he goes through his journey and he matures and goes through it, and I think Shenhua is the one that balances him in the end. It's just looking at that, I think she's the one who gets through to him and potentially gets him to realize that there's more to this than just a quest for vengeance, and that's where he starts sort of becoming him. You see a little bit of it in Shenmue 3. I know it gets hammered for the story, but you see a little bit of Ryo easing up. He laughs. He's a bit more upfront with Shenhua in the stories he tells and what he tells. So that's starting to happen. So maybe in like a 4, you'll see more of that.
Maybe so, maybe so. Be interesting to see what, if anything, in that poem is actually, I don't know, prophesized.
Well,
It's not
we'll
quite
see.
the prophecy, but
I'd love to see what happens next.
Yeah, so we're going to finish off our little deep dive into the Shenmue premiere now with an article posted by IGN, actually. So someone would have been in attendance from IGN here at the Yokohama event, and they've sort of detailed the day again. So this is going to be slightly similar, but IGN's take on the day as a whole. I'll read this one out here, Matt. So, held in the Yokohama National Exhibition Hall on the waterfront at Yokohama Baytown, the opening to Sega's Shenmue Expedition on Sunday, December the 20th, matched with the serenity of the beautiful calm weather outside the hall. While the local population and the usual sightseers milling around outside were bathed in sunshine, those invited to witness the first real details about Shenmue were bathed in its theme music performed by a small orchestra seemingly focused around a solo female violinist and located in front of the stage and 3 giant video screens of the massive hall. First came the main theme tune to Shenmue, a winding, haunting affair which lasted for a good 8 to 10 minutes, whilst the screens told some of the background story to the game by way of Japanese script on a backdrop of cloudy sky shots. So I think that might be... it's not in the Project Berkeley, is it? Or is it? Maybe it is the Project Berkeley disc. It's got like the floating text on the clouds that someone translated as well. Probably.
I think you're right, yeah.
But that's got like a romantic poem as well. That is actually, because that guy that was waiting in the line who said something to the camera in the video that we watched, he said about the poem. So yeah. Then this switched seamlessly into a soloist rendition of Shenhua's song. So that's cool to know. So they played the Shenmue main theme and then the Shenhua's theme. As with Sonic Adventure before it, the event was hosted by a female-male duo. This time it was opera expert Mr. Shigeki Saigusa, who also makes music for TV and other media, and fluffy pink child woman Mrs. Reiko Chiba, a digital producer in a company called Cherry Babe. They narrated some of the video scenes, linked the pieces together by chatting about their impressions of what they've seen, and interviewed Mr. Yu Suzuki and some of the cast.
Right, that triggered a random thought.
What's that, man?
And we're talking about premiere events and stuff. You just triggered the Sonic Adventure one. Now my memory's working. I remember the Sonic one because the crowd scene at the end of let's say crowd scene. When in Sonic Adventure at the end of when you've got Supersonic Story and you've got the emeralds chanting at the end. Yeah, everybody chanting. It was that event. They got every chant Sonic, 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 and then that's the chanting they used in the game.
Hey, that rings a bell now you said that. Yeah, but so what would they have done a similar thing with Sonic Adventure then with like this Shenmue thing?
It sounds like I don't know if it was on as grand a scale or not, but it sounds like they certainly did something for Sonic Adventure, and it just I saw Sonic Adventure in the text. I was like, hang on a second, bam, and then it made the link.
Rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice point there, Matt. So it says the musical introductions lasted a little over 27 minutes. Most were entranced, but some not so. The guy sitting next to me had fallen asleep by the stage. Is lost, in brackets it says. But I feel it was well suited to the impression Sega were trying to give to the game, and Shenhua in particular being a gentle, emotional individual. However, we had been all sitting there in some anticipation for nearly half an hour. and all we'd been shown were panning shots of the orchestra instead of game footage. So they're sort of building slowly. It's
Yeah.
kind of like Shenmue is in general, to be fair, like this slow burn. They want you to feel the game before you see it, I guess. And maybe some people, again, similar to people that played Shenmue and maybe got bored in the first couple of hours looking for sailors or whatever, but it's not going to be for everyone, and evidently the orchestral music wasn't for this bloke. Maybe he attended the Sonic Adventure one. It was like a rock show, and he was expecting something similar. So game development now. So Yu Suzuki now entered the stage left to suitably dramatic drum music. Quizzed about his previous creations, Suzuki-san pointed out that making arcade games such as Scud Race is a very different proposition to making games for the Dreamcast. Arcade games are intended to last for about 3 minutes in general, so you concentrate on making a very intense but brief experience. However, with a console, you don't put money into a slot, and gamers expect a far more lengthy and substantial experience. These comments gave way to some CG-generated movies from the game. Moving with incredible speed and fluidity, we saw one of the wistfully beautiful characters, Shenmue, getting into a fight and receiving a severe kicking for her troubles.
That sounds...
Would it have been Shenmue then?
No, I reckon it was Ewing. I reckon
Or
that's
maybe
some of the Project Berkeley
Nozomi
stuff.
in the
Maybe.
park?
Yeah, possibly.
Getting a kicking for her troubles. Not sure. Or it could be maybe it was because they did say CG movie, so maybe they were playing the Project Berkeley and it was Shenmue where she blows up and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, and then you see Ewing get go down hurt, don't you, in it as well? So
obviously they don't know who the characters are specifically at this moment. I wouldn't have thought.
No.
So yeah, not sure. Even this, however, was more substantial look at the quality of the CG sequences from Shenmue than had previously been shown on the demo disc. Oh, so it is different. And it says they look extremely impressive. Not quite sure. I can't think off the top of my head. With them saying Shenmue,
I'd love to see it.
Animation. Just as with Yuji Naka and his team, Suzuki-san made sure that his development team got the real deal in order to create it back at home in the studio. The character animation had been given a priority, and Yu Suzuki's development team have taken advantage of both advanced technology and extensive travel in China to better recreate the look and feel of the characters and locations. While the host cooed over the quality of the CG sequences, and Suzuki-san explained that he has intentionally made the game accessible to gamers of all abilities, video clips showed the development staff walking through Chinese streets and taking notes. That's cool. Love that. Then back home in the studios, maps of the Chinese towns and Hong Kong streets were then used to help mould the look of those in the game. Clay busts were made of each of the characters after extensive initial sketching, and then a three-dimensional scanner was used to get the information into the 3D software. I love that.
Mental, isn't it?
I love all this sort of behind-the-scenes, the stuff that goes into games, or at least back in those days where they perhaps didn't have stuff that they can sort of preview on a particular 3D software. They had to physically make a 3D bust of a character or sketches and proper go into the nitty-gritty details to get a good feel about how they should include something in a game, whereas now you can probably just sort of preview it within a piece of software. But
I know,
back in those days, it's good to see this behind-the-scenes stuff. It says the video showed interlocking shots of the real-life China, Hong Kong junk flotillas, bustling market scenes, etc., against the recreations of them in the game, and the similarity was such that you had to look really closely to spot which was which. I think the locations are the most realistic I have ever seen in the game, both due to the level of graphical detail and the ambient sound. You've got snow powder getting blown up off the ground by a gust of wind, a candle sitting on a table with a gentle flickering flame, a ceiling fan rotating slowly overhead, creaking gently. All of these scenes enhance the realism, with the sound perfectly complementing the scenarios. Hand movement also got special attention using computers and a VR-style glove. Oh, I remember now what they're talking about, that premiere. We saw some of this stuff, didn't we, where they're actually mocapping the fingers picking up
it's insane, isn't
items and stuff. Crazy, yeah. Along with photographs and video of actors' hands, the team ensured they captured exactly lifelike motion. For fighting scenes, a martial artist was employed for elaborate motion capture sessions, with every single movement committed to hard disk and modelled later in the game's characters. Locations. So there are apparently over 1,200 rooms to explore, and more than 370 characters, central and NPC envisaged for the final massive game world of Shenmue. Players have complete freedom of movement and no location is off limits, so if you want to, you can forget the quest for a while and just wander to your heart's content. And true to the realism of the game, none of these rooms you can explore will be clinically clean examples you may have seen in other games. So remember those labs in GoldenEye? Instead, every room looks as though you might expect in real life. There's a classroom, which looks like a horde of excited children just rampage through it, a laboratory scattered with papers and instruments, an alley littered with old cardboard boxes, and a complement of scuttling rats. All of these things lend character to every location and make other adventure games look sterile in comparison. Shenmue is not a simulation, Shenmue is a real life. And I will make a point that those particular details that they just mentioned there, I personally don't think anyone has nailed in a video game since. You know, you've got these games like these massive open world games where there is elements of this sort of stuff, but the actual feeling of a living and breathing world that Shenmue does with its locations and the attention to detail in those locations, and like just regular locations, like you mentioned, like a classroom. And I'm thinking of like all the different shops and buildings in Kowloon where you've got like a martial arts shop, you've got like a book shop. You know, these things don't really have that sort of attention to detail in other games that they do in Shenmue. Shenmue's world, it is definitely incredible. It's unlike other experiences, I think.
It's mad, isn't it? And I know there's this talk with video games now, like obviously with the open world genre, but you know, just the games get bigger and bigger, the worlds get bigger and bigger, and you lose that level of detail in them, don't you? That Shenmue, by modern standards, the world is quite small, but the detail in that world, I think the closest you get is Red Dead Redemption 2 in terms of level of detail, what you can do, what you can pick up, what you can interact with, the characters, the NPCs. That's as close as I've ever seen in modern gaming in the last 15 years, you know, in terms of that level of detail. Games now, and there's talk that games will expand inwards and start looking at being smaller but far more detailed. So again, loads of these games, if it does go that way, are going to start borrowing again from Shenmue. So we might see some of those elements of, you know, alleyways looking decrepit and rats running around and all those sorts of little touches that make the world feel more alive happen in games if they start bringing those worlds down in size but increase that level of detail, which can only, in my mind, be a good thing. I'd rather a small world but dense, lots to do, lots of detail that you can lose yourself in, rather than a map that's just green and you sort of hop around from side quest to side quest and it's bloatware and it's boring.
With you there, buddy, with you there. Next bit is features. So asked to name the most impressive features of Shenmue, Yu Suzuki immediately cited two. So you've got equality and freedom. In the past, there's always been a very obvious leap in quality between in-game actions and CG scenes, but in Shenmue, says Suzuki-san, the quality is exactly the same. Secondly, the extensive 3D modelling means that there are no limitations to camera angles nor to camera movements, meaning that the game looks great all the time, heightening the sense of freedom and interactivity with your surroundings. Moreover, Shenmue is not really a 3D game, he says, but a 4D one. Suzuki-san is referring to that fourth dimension of time, since in the game it is dynamic, changing just as the weather does, and having effects all of its own. Suzuki-san consequently refuses to use an existing genre label to describe Shenmue, instead creating a new category for it, which he calls free. Free, reactive. I thought it was fully. I think it's fully reactive eyes entertainment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Here again, we were treated to clips of weather and time change incorporated in the game, and you will never seen such a realistic snowfall, believe me. Next is Quest. At this point, Yu Suzuki cracked open a new Dreamcast unit. What, like a brand new one out of the box?
Just turned up with the event. Here you go, new Dreamcast. Here we go.
Plugs it in. And we were showing Shenmue actually running on the console. From, I guess, Ryo Hazuki's perspective, they put Luwu, I don't know why. The proud father wanted to demonstrate two innovative aspects of the game, Quest and QTE. In Quest, you're on a mission, and just like in any good adventure game, you have to run around talking to people, investigating stuff, and working out clues. But as you come across one of the many game characters, you'll find them all carrying on with their daily activities, not just standing there waiting for you to talk to them, or simply strolling up and down in a pattern. And that was like incredible, mate, to me at the time, playing Shenmue for the first time. Speaking to a character in a location and then going back to that location later and they're not there. It's like, what?
I
Where have they
know.
gone? They just wandered off somewhere else. It's again just one of those things that just makes Shenmue stand out, kind of with the daily routines of the characters.
It's mad.
Yeah, so not just simply strolling up and down in a pattern. Exactly, they're like this set, go home, go bed.
Yeah, do their stuff. You can follow them every day, and they do. Again,
Well, like George mentioned, mate, you get Megumi coming back on a school day with a school bag on her back.
from
It's
the
mad.
bloody
Yeah.
bus, and you're like,
Yeah.
I mean, she's probably a bit young to be getting the bus on her own, but we'll ignore that point.
True.
But yeah, that sort of thing, and she doesn't go on a Saturday or a Sunday. It's only on a
Yeah.
Monday to Friday.
Mhm.
That level of detail is insane.
Speech is initiated automatically as you approach, but not necessarily by you. In the examples we were sharing, Hazuki starts a conversation by saying "sumimasen," which is "excuse me," but in another instance, one of the NPCs begins talking first. When he sees you, as he is standing atop of a ladder, he tries... Oh, this is the guy trying to adjust the sign, isn't he? He's trying to affix a sign to his storefront, but he's getting trouble getting it straight, so he asks you to help. The next part of the game sees you saying up a bit, down, yes, no, up a bit again until he's got it right. Your interaction has established contact, so now you engage in conversation, which could of course provide hints for your quest. Also, your character's head turns to look at things of interest, like in the superb PC adventure game Grim Fandango, which is a great way of finding out what you should be looking for. Speech is natural and realistic. In one case, an old man completely misunderstands what you're trying to say, and after several comic attempts, wanders away without answering. During conversations, you're often given the opportunity to direct the flow by selecting either yes or no in response to someone's question or offer. Saying yes may well drag you into doing a part-time job for extra money. We saw Rio being stopped by a guy loading cartons and offered a job helping out, which he agreed to. So he must be talking like Shenmue 2 Dalin, right?
Yeah, it must have been.
This way your character earns money for use in the game, and this has to be a more realistic method than, for example, running over spinning coins. I've just had a thought, back in the day when people, obviously we played Shenmue 1 first, we did the forklift job, and then moving into Shenmue 2, the box carrying felt like a downgrade.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
But reading this out, maybe they made the box carrying first, and the forklift was like what they made
Possibly.
after. So that's why it feels like a downgrade,
Yeah.
because
A little bit.
the forklift was an upgrade.
Well, yeah, could well be that way round.
QuickTime events. Second up is what Yusuke calls QTE and its offshoot QTB. QTE means quick time event, and it basically means that at certain junctions in the game, you'll be in a situation where a split-second decision is required. It could be while you're running and the floor opens up beneath you, necessitating a jump, or when an enemy throws an object at you and you must duck. That kind of thing where if you delay, you're in big trouble. When a QTE occurs, a flashing white arrow points to the relevant area of the screen. You have to make your decision. This usually means tapping the A button for a context-sensitive action, or pushing the direction pad in the right direction, not unlike the input in the Laserdisc game Dragon's Lair, except here that you can see what you should be doing. One example we saw in game was a chase sequence. Rio is just emerging from one street where he spots a small boy who he needs to talk to. Then the kid takes flight, and therefore so does Rio, initiating the sequence where you run down alleys, around corners, and such at top speed. I wonder if that's Wong then.
Yeah, it must be. It sounds like it, doesn't it?
The QT arrow flashes on the screen, warning you to press the A button to hurdle barrels blocking your path, dodge moving forklift trucks, or clamber over fences in the heat of the chase. Excellent. And then we're moving into the QTBs now, which apparently are quick time battles. The same sort of thing happens when you come across someone wanting to fight you, so hence quick time battles. Here you get a flashing red arrow to indicate the threat. You must respond. In the actual gaming session, we say, Yusuzuki-san initiated a fight scene by climbing some wooden stairs. He was confronted by 3 or 4 assailants, and the QTB arrow flashed excitedly. By hitting A or moving in the right direction, the fight sequence would be executed perfectly, and our hero safe. I say would because Yusuzuki made a total mess of the thing and the thugs beat him senseless. It came down to the bubbly Chiba-san to save the day, and an attempt ended in complete success, eliciting raucous applause from the audience. Thanks to the martial arts motion capture, combat animations are fluid and realistic too. No Queensberry rules here, whatever that means, as characters use elbows and knees to attack as well as fists. Evidently, plenty of street fighting tactics have been modelled for the game. The overall effect was more like participating in a Bruce Lee flick than a game. The immediate nature of these sequences, which occur frequently during your quest, are intended to make the action very intense and exhilarating. So, I'm trying to discern the difference here. So, it seems like they think QTEs are maybe like chase sequences, and
Yeah, that's it.
QTBs are like the fighting versions. So, like
Yes.
your Anuki at the start where bumps into Rio, or the heartbeats scenes, those sort of stuff. Maybe were coined QTBs. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe, unless the movie
Yeah.
guy got that mixed up. I don't know.
Maybe I maybe misunderstood it, but I'm glad that sort of didn't catch on, because I think it's just been confusing for everybody.
Yeah.
QTE, what's that?
QTB.
QTB, what the heck is that?
It's a quick time battle.
And they've obviously changed the color of like the input for the arrow in the QTB.
Sounds
So
like it,
obviously
right?
they've distinguished it, and obviously for whatever reason took a decision
Not to confuse people,
go
maybe.
which I think is probably the best thing in the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, agreed. And then just winding up now. So, with the actual gameplay portion of the show over, next the hosts invited the actors portraying the voices of Shenmue's central characters to come on stage and introduce themselves. So, amongst their number was Mr. Hiroshi Fujiwaka, who plays Wow Hazuki in the game. Fortunately, this time he let his karate gi at home and didn't shout at everyone, but instead it was demure and respectful, saying nice things about his fellow actors and lauding Yu Suzuki's game-making ability. So that was that. I have to say, before I went to the Shenmue exposition, indeed, even on the train on the way to Yokohama that morning, I wasn't really looking forward to the event, which is interesting to read. I thought Shenmue would just be one more generic, dull RPG, but how wrong was I? After seeing the game in action and witnessing the sense of total realism and immersion, I left the hall resolved to place an advance order for the game as soon as I could. That's nice to hear, isn't it?
That's what you want.
Yeah. There are still a couple of months left, probably, of development, and if all goes as well as it obviously has this far, Shenmue will be yet another must-have title for the Dreamcast fraternity. Very interesting. I don't know who wrote that article originally. It just says IGN staff.
Do you know what, as well, that talk of like going in thinking, oh, it's another RPG.
Yeah.
It's almost like the whole, because Yu Suzuki set out to do something that wasn't Final Fantasy in the way it presented itself. He was going to do something different. He was going to do something new and daring. And that person, whoever wrote that article, was clearly convinced by that. And obviously, hopefully was a fan of the series. Whether they still are now, I don't know. But, that's the sort of thing you want to encourage, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's sort of the whole point, right? It's like no one knows, or no one knew at the time, what this game was going to be. So people already had ideas in their head, perhaps. And because it was such a revolutionary game at the time, no one was expecting what they were about to see. No one was expecting some of the gameplay elements that they'd be finding there, the weather system, like the actual data, the level of detail, the witnessing like the very first open world game. And you've got people here with like preconceived ideas that it's just going to be a bog standard, maybe like a turn-based RPG, or
exactly.
they don't know of anything else, because up until now this hadn't been a thing before, which it's insane really that I wish I could have attended again, like I say, to sort of experience that feeling of going into something not knowing what's I'm about to witness, and then coming out of it being like, this is going to change my life, and this is the greatest video game ever created. It's insane, really, that those people had that sort of experience, and perhaps they didn't realize what they were getting themselves in for, and maybe even coming out of the show, they still didn't realize what it was all about. I don't know, because I'm sure it must have looked interesting to everyone that attended there, watching 70 minutes of the gameplay, for a video game that was so revolutionary at the time. But I don't know, Matt, what are your sort of impressions, and sort of summarize what we just run through?
I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? When people have gone into this event, nobody really knows what they're walking into. Nobody really knows what Shenmue is, other than it's made by Yu Suzuki, who made Virtua Fighter and was obviously a big star at the time. So you're going in blind. You have expectations because of the Dreamcast and Yu Suzuki, I would expect. That's the feeling I got from the people in the queue. But you don't really know what you're getting. And back then, the video games were still sort of very much in their infancy. I say infancy in terms of 3D. Like you had the Saturn, PlayStation, and the N64, and some other 3D consoles that didn't do too well. But the Dreamcast was like the line in the sand in terms of what 3D could do and where it could go. And that very much what was Shenmue, that it was this is a line in the sand moment. You think you've seen a game, you haven't seen anything till you've seen this. And then it blows people's minds because people have gone in there going, it's just another video game. How is it going to be different? What's it going to do? Nobody knows. And then you walk in there, you see everything rendered in real time, changing weather, motion capture fight scenes that look like could have been in a movie, dialogue that you can engage with from everywhere that feels natural. And it does feel more natural in Japanese than it does English. So that whole natural flow of the conversations feels more realistic, and coupled with the fact that games didn't do that back then. So you didn't have fully voiced dialogue, you didn't have changing dialogue, you didn't have characters that moved with the game. They were very static in games up to that point. They're not anymore. And then you've got the world building around it. You've got jobs. You've got everything together. And it's just this perfect mesh of a game, or, to be honest, a technological leap that video games needed to take. People can dunk on Shenmue and the gameplay and story for years, and they do. But you cannot deny, and I don't care who you are, if you know anything about video game history, Shenmue is a point in video game history that said, no, games are going in a different direction, a more realistic direction, a world-building direction, and open world. And it did, and it smashed that door open for many other games to follow. I've used this term many times. Shenmue walked so others could run, and that's exactly right here.
Definitely, mate. And I know we're sort of treading old ground by going all the way back to the premiere again, but I find this stuff fascinating because this is literally the birth of Shenmue, and I think any Shenmue fans out there, that I think the history of Shenmue itself is just incredible to sort of go over and sort of reminisce and go back in time, and because there's so many little tidbits that you perhaps missed at the time or you didn't make the connections with, like even just something like the poem on the back of that blue pamphlet. It's got hints and clues in there about the future of the series, and I love going back over some of this stuff because there's always a little bit of nugget of something in there that's like, oh my god, that could be like that bit that we just read about Shenmue having a bit of a fight or something. I don't know what he's witnessed there. I'd have to check the actual premiere footage and see if I can spot what this guy might have been referring to. But for all we know, they could have been showing like a cutscene that has never been seen again ever since. And there's a lot of history and a lot of exciting things in this that I just wish we could have better access to, like your demos.
I know.
The betas and all these sort of things that we're just craving for more Shenmue content. And it's good that we've got like fan games and stuff to tide us over. And we have had a Shenmue 3 now and all this sort of stuff. But these are the bread and butter of like a Shenmue fan sort of, I don't know, it still sort of whets the appetite, even though it's pre-Shenmue existing. It's a funny sort of thing to think about, but there's so many bits and pieces of Shenmue's history and nuggets of information, just interviews, articles, and I'm having a blast actually going back in time and going over these things with you, Matt, because not only is it like good Shenmue content for people to sort of enjoy and consume. Me and Matt, we're both talking about these things, and if you're enjoying the podcast, hopefully you're enjoying these as well. But just us actually going back in time and checking out these interviews and these articles and stuff like that, I'm really enjoying, because you're going down memory lane, and I'm personally finding things that I didn't even know about.
And that's the thing, isn't it? You're finding this, we're doing this stuff again, and you're coming across things we go, I didn't know about that, I forgot about that. That's the beauty of what Shenmue is, isn't it? It's everything, it's all of it. It's not just the whole, it's Shenmue, it's not just the game, it's far more than that, I think, and what we're finding.
It's just because they put so much into it that there's so much content available. The marketing was off the chains, the merchandise was off the chains. They did literally put all the eggs in the Shenmue basket. Hopefully this would have been the success that the Dreamcast would have propelled forward, and Sega would have been this multi-million money-making company again, because like Shenmue, they just put too much faith in Shenmue, unfortunately. I know that's another topic for another day, but you can sort of see, especially with things like this event, where the marketing and Sega must have been crazy at the time. You think about that. They're not just marketing Shenmue, they're marketing Sonic Adventure. You got all these other launch games, you got the console itself, and this is not long after the Sega Saturn, don't forget, all the consoles, the add-ons and stuff like that. You're talking a couple of years in between these things, and the planning behind all this sort of stuff is insane to me. And being able to create a game like Shenmue whilst Sega is still pumping out Sonic games, still pumping out other games, arcade releases, merchandise. You're not just talking Japan, you're talking about Europe, you're talking about America. Organization in the company there, it doesn't make sense in my head, because there's so many moving parts, getting the products out in shops, liaising with companies, doing box art. I know they've got staff in all these different departments, but it just seems such a crazy thing. And it's still happening in gaming today. You think about that with Sony. How are they micromanaging all the releases, all of the games, all the box arts, liaising with the companies, marketing? There's so much that goes into it. But when you actually get down to seeing the Shenmue marketing, I love it.
And that's the whole thing, isn't it? When we go back through these history pieces of Shenmue, that you just, I don't know, it's, as fans as we are now, it's the only opportunity we really ever get to try and experience anything close to what the people would have experienced back then. And the fact that some of this is new as well, just, I don't know, just further adds to the mayhem, but a mayhem in a good way, if that makes sense.
Yeah. But we're going to put a line under the sand here for now. So, guys, if you're listening to this, anyone out there did actually attend this premiere event, contact us, because we'd absolutely love to hear.
We'd love to get you on the show.
Yeah, we'd love to talk to someone that actually attended this event. That would be crazy. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed that. We're going to have a piece of music again from Annadelle, just to sort of break this up. I've got a little bit of a character quiz for you, Matt, after the break.
Ooh, okay.
Just to sort of end the show with. But we'll definitely come back to the premiere at some point, because there's another article I want to look at. It's a 2-part article, actually. It's an interview with Yu Suzuki literally a couple of weeks after the premiere event had been held. So be interesting to sort of get his initial reaction to how the premiere event happened, and sort of the updates and Shenmue at the time. That can definitely be a season 5 episode 1 type of show, I reckon. But yeah, enjoy this piece of music from Annadelle. It's a cover of 3-9. Welcome back, guys. So we're going to finish off today's Shenmue Dojo show with a quiz. Love to do quizzes, and this is going to be a little bit different than our usual quizzes. Terry's not done a massive quiz here for you this week, Matt. So basically, the Dreamcast Junkyard, they've been doing this quizzes at the end of their shows. It's not unusual. I think they've stolen it from somewhere else, but basically it started out as like a 20-question thing.
Oh yeah.
To determine a Dreamcast title. So teams sort of ask questions, yes or no answers, and eventually they've got to take a guess at what they think the game is. So you can ask any question, but we're going to be doing it for Shenmue characters, Matt, and I'm going to limit it actually to 5 questions to try and make it hard.
Okay.
But eventually, all 5 of these characters, there'll be a connection between them. I'm hoping.
Okay.
It'd probably be quite obvious, but we'll start off with like a nice easy one, and then maybe in a future show I'll start ramping up the difficulty a little bit. So essentially, Matt, all you got to do is just ask me 5 questions. So we'll take one at a time that you think is like a sort of a relevant question to find a little bit of detail about who this character might be. So we'll start with the first character, and I'll just give you a yes or no answer, basically, and then we'll see how we get on.
Let's do it.
So question 1, Matt, have you got a question to start us off with?
Okay. Question: male or female?
Ooh, male.
Oh, okay. That doesn't narrow it down.
True.
Are they a martial artist or not?
Yes. So martial artist. Yes. Okay, third question, Matt.
Do they wear training gear in the game?
Yes. Okay, question 4.
Okay, it's narrowing it down a little bit.
So it's a male martial artist who wears training gear. So far.
Do they say "I see" a lot?
They don't.
Ah, okay. So it's not who I was thinking.
So that question basically just wrote off Rio, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's only another 336 characters to go now, Matt, whatever it was.
Martial artist, wears training gear.
Last question, but what I'm going to do actually, because I didn't know if this would be an easy or not thing, but after you've asked this 5th question, do I tell you who it is? I guess I do. But maybe just the connection between all the characters will be enough to sort of pass the quiz, if you know what I mean.
Okay, and then let me go for... Do they live at the Hazuki Dojo?
Hazuki Dojo, no. So you've had your 5 questions. I'll let you take a stab at who you think the character might be. So it's a male. He's a martial artist.
Yeah.
Training gear he wears. He doesn't say "I see," and he doesn't reside at the Hazuki Dojo. Any guesses?
Wild stab in the dark. Jianmin.
Very good guess, Matt. It was Jianmin. Correct.
Ah. Okay. It's a complete stab in the bloody dark, that one.
This quiz, it could have gone terribly wrong, or I think that actually went really well, actually. So let's move on to character 2 now. Again, Matt, start with your first question.
Okay. Again, male or female?
Okay, it's a male.
Okay. Do they tell Rio of the wood?
Yes.
Okay, so that might be the link, or one of the links.
I just had to have a little think of that.
Are they homeless?
They're not homeless. You've got 2 more questions.
Are they old?
They are old. Last question, Matt, before you give me a character name.
And do they sit down a lot?
They do.
It's Master Zhou Xuan at the Grand Martial Arts School.
Correct. So you might already be seeing the theme here, but like I say, this was the easy quiz, just to sort of get us into this. So, third character now, Matt.
Third character, okay. Again, I'll start with the standard one, male or female.
Okay, this time female.
Okay, does she teach Tai Chi?
She does.
I think I know who this is, but let's go for the 5 anyway.
Okay.
Do they live in the Yantin apartments?
They do.
I
guess you could have a stab in the dark if you wanted to.
Well, yeah, it's Quick Zhang. I was about to say, does she teach Rio a move? But I'm going to go Quick Zhang.
Okay, I'll let you have that. So that is correct. Fourth character, Matt.
Male or female?
Male or female again? Male.
Okay. Do they have a job or shop in the game?
Shop, yeah, they've got a shop.
Very good. Because I think I know who it is. But I'm going to go for it. Are they a smoker?
Smoker, yes. I love how your questions are like now. You've gone from do they say I see a lot to like very specific details about who it is.
Trying to think. Not quite. Wow, it's quite an interesting question. Does their sequence confuse players?
It does a little bit, actually. Yeah, now that you mention it.
And the final question is: do they interact with Rio sat down?
Yes. So Rio sat down. Yes. So it is a male. They own a shop. They are a smoker. Go on, Matt. Who is it?
It's Zhanghu Barber Shop.
It's Zhanghu, yeah.
Zhanghu.
Very good, very good. So last character now to build this connection that's going on. Did you want to just have a stab in the dark who it might be? Or
so I'm going to go Ewing. But I could be very wrong.
You are wrong. So
then let's go for the questions then.
Okay, yep.
So if it's not Ewing, okay, does Rio come across them in Kowloon?
No.
Oh. I think now. Do they wear white robes?
No.
Ooh, this is a bit harder. There's a theme though, they all teach Rio something. Does he fall in the sea?
No.
You see where I was going with that one?
I do, yeah. It's still someone related to the link so far.
So it's all wooed. That's the link I've got. Martial artist. I don't know if they. Wow, it might be there. Does Rio help him out with an activity?
He does.
And are they homeless?
They are homeless.
Zongquan.
Yes, Zongquan. It is.
There we go.
So, do you know what the connection is between those 5 people?
So the connection was the Wood.
It is the Wood, you're right. So yeah, so you've got Jianmin, who obviously teaches Rio. Is it Dan? Zhanghu, Gon, I think. Zhoushuan, Ji, maybe. And that's obviously in tandem with Zongquan. You know, the whole point behind that particular Wood is because of Zongquan and what he's done. And then obviously you go to Guixang, and although she does teach Rio what the Wood is, she doesn't actually tell him the name. It's only when he goes to Mambo Temple, scrubs the walls, that's where he actually finds out about Yi. And I did have a bonus character just in case, just for some reason you didn't get the connection. That would have been Han Hui as a bonus character, because he actually sort of confirms that final Wood with Rio there. But yeah, you got it right, Matt. The connection between those 5 characters was the Wood, of course.
Brilliant.
So, yeah,
there we go.
Good stuff. Nice and easy. try and make that harder next time if we do a character quiz like that again. I think 5 questions is probably just about right, actually.
Yeah, I do.
Any more
Once
than that
I got
might
the
be...
theme in my head, I think it was okay.
It's probably easy with the
first
theme.
one.
Next time we might just try without a theme and just sort of go for random characters and see if you can dig them out.
Because the first one, had I gone where I did with the guess, that could have ended up very badly.
True, you did get to jam in
somehow.
Don't
know how.
Yeah, because I was thinking you might ask like, is it a character in a particular location? Do you know what I mean? Like Wan Chai, that covers quite a lot, I suppose, but it still narrows it down to like a chunk of a game. Yeah, good job, Matt.
Very good.
Worked out in the end. And that is the end of today's show, and also, I guess, the end of Season 4 of the Shenmue Dojo show. Like I say, we will have a Christmas special. We're hoping to do that with George Kitchen next month, which will be broadcast as part of Radio Sega's Winterfest event this year. I don't know if it's been announced yet. Apologies if we weren't meant to announce it, but I think people expect a Winterfest now. Pretty much every year, so I don't think it will come as too much of a surprise. Hopefully you're okay with that, people listening, like Twinny and everyone. We've blown your cover there, but we will be doing a Christmas show as we always do, and I'm looking forward to getting stuck in with a bit of Dreams of Saturn 2.0 talk with George, and hopefully we can get some questions about reclaiming the path out of him as well, and obviously just have a light-hearted Christmas
conversation,
fun show again, like we typically do.
We do indeed.
We'll be also having a Christmas stream, and we will have just celebrated Shenmue 3's 5th anniversary, Matt, which is insane as well, right?
God, that's crazy, isn't it? Which I'm not going to sit and depress myself that it's 5 years since Shenmue 3, and we still haven't got 4. But
yeah.
But I'll ignore that at the moment, and it is 5 years. People can say what they want about Shenmue 3 and clearly do, but that game's still a miracle. That should never have happened, but the community made it happen. Yeah. So we should sit there looking at that back at those 5 years and go, all right, the world's a better place for having a Shenmue 3.
Definitely.
And hopefully we can take the inspiration from that into getting a 4th game. That's the aim. Mm-hmm. That's what we need to be doing.
And before you know it, Matt, we'll be celebrating the anime's 5th anniversary as well, and be saying the same thing. The miracle that the anime was a thing as well. And I mean, it's not. Don't get crazy. It's only been like 2 years on it, but
it's random. The anime just came out of nowhere.
It did, didn't it? Yeah, it really did.
Completely out of left field. Here, have an anime. What? And it actually just turned out to be brilliant.
That's what's crazy about like this premiere event. It's like something that happened 25 years ago, and 25 years later, we're talking about Shenmue 3, an anime, hopefully a Shenmue 4. Passage of time is not to get all philosophical, but it's crazy, really, isn't it? Like a quarter of a century, and this is where we're at.
Yeah, and I know, and hopefully we'll be sat here doing our end of season next year, and we'll have at least some Shenmue 4 news. That would be that would be brilliant, wouldn't it? We have the Shenmue 4 news.
Yeah,
that's the aim. That's what we're working towards. Obviously, we have no control over it, but we'll do our best.
Everything we can, especially December the 4th. Look out for that one.
Oh yes, you're going to like that one, I promise you.
Right, Matt, so we're going to end the show now. If you want to do, I don't know, some usual outro spiel.
Do the usual spiel at the end of every video, every bit of content that we do. Obviously, everyone who joins in with the content, the tweetathons and everything the dojo is putting out, thank you so much. It does mean a lot to James and I that we get the engagement, we get people engaging in the content and enjoying the content and wanting more Shenmue and getting behind that message. So thank you very much, everybody there. You can find us across all social media platforms. We are on X at Shenmue_Dojo, Facebook Shenmue Dojo, Instagram Shenmue_Dojo, Blue Sky is at ShenmueDojo.com. We've got our own handle on there, which is fantastic. Twitch Shenmue Dojo, YouTube Shenmue Dojo VOD. We are also dotted around on some of the other ones like Threads and Mastodon and the Shenmue Dojo banner as well. I say this again at the end of every video. If you love the content and want to help out for £2 a month, if you're a member, you get all the video content ahead of time outside of the podcasts. So that's all the Saturday videos that I put out, any sort of news videos or any sort of videos I chuck out, then you get those ahead of time. If not, don't worry, it's not locked behind a paywall. It goes on the scheduling system, and any of the funds that James and I get, it goes to running the website, it goes to competition prizes, it goes to the t-shirts that we only wear, and it goes to other bits and pieces as well.
Very good, Matt. Love that little that you added on the end there. Nice. Right, so thanks very much for watching, guys, or listening, if whichever the medium that you you chose. I was going to use the word partake again then, but I thought, but yeah, when I used that earlier, it sounded like a bit of a daft word to come out with. But we're going to close the show with an actual piece of Shenmue music here. You heard the orchestra playing live earlier in the show in the premiere. This isn't live, but this is still by the Shenmue Orchestra. It was sort of grouped together. I don't know. Was it the same orchestra that did the actual orchestra stuff? I don't know, actually.
It might have been. Might have been. I don't know. I couldn't categorically tell you.
But if it is, this is the song that they played that we're going to be playing right now. This is called Song of the Bay. Yeah, cheers, guys. See you on the next one.
Thank you very much, guys. Take it easy.
Ah, look at the time.